Hello and welcome everybody. It is the 1st of December, which means NaNoWriMo is finished. For this year, that is. Next year we will have 3 months of NaNoWriMo, but for this year, NaNoWriMo is finished. For those who don't know, NaNoWriMo is the National Novel Writing Month in which we are challenged to write 50,000 words in a novel or in any other project that you would like if you are a rebel. So today we look at how things went and how we are going to progress in the future. And how did I? You say you're going to get yourself some juice or something and then you'll join. Oh, excellent, excellent. And welcome again today. For those who don't know me, my name is Ilza. I am a magic-wielding dragon companion and creator of worlds. And today I am here to help you on your author journey. And I do that today with looking back at NaNoWriMo and seeing what we will do, what we can do with what we produced during NaNoWriMo, and take a small peek ahead to December and potentially the new year, because December is the month to make resolutions, if you do that is, and it is a month of holiday seasons, visiting family, things like that. So there's a lot to do and a lot that's going to happen or might happen in the future in December and in January and the whole of 24. I mean, let's be honest, we have a lot of months and weeks and days ahead of us. First, I want to apologize if you hear a weird sound. A friend of mine is working in the attic, and the sounds of that trickle through downstairs, and unfortunately I can't turn that off. So hopefully it won't be too much of a bother. Hopefully it stays like it is right now, and that's okay-ish. So NaNoWriMo, 50,000 words. Let me be the first one to admit that I did not make that 50,000 words. I made 25,000 and a little bit extra. Am I disappointed? No, absolutely not. And I will tell you why. 50,000 words is the amount of a novel. I mean, that is awesome. It's really awesome if you can make that. Oh, the emojis are back. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's excellent. Then you can join in with the emojis as well. Like I said, if you have made that 50,000 words, awesome. That's congratulations, and you have done an amazing job. And those who are far beyond that, and I do know a few people in my community who are far beyond that 50,000 words. I can only admire you guys. For me personally, November was a tough month. So the fact that I was able to write 25,000 words is an achievement in itself, I feel. Because it's been, health-wise, it's been a terrible month for me. So finding the energy, not so much the time, well, kind of the time as well, but finding the energy to write. Oh, my apologies for that sound. That's really bad. Okay, now it's over. But finding the energy to write, I mean, it takes energy, and finding the energy to write when you are not healthy is not a good thing. Or not a good thing, it's not a easy thing. It's not an easy thing, let me put it that way. Oh, thank you. Did you say you did well? I did well too, thank you. And yes, several of our community members did awesome. I love it, I really love it. So the fact that I made 25,000 words while I was extremely exhausted from work, and not so much from the fact that I needed to work, but from the fact that I needed to work while I was still really suffering from long COVID, and I am still suffering from long COVID. So that is really a big issue. And the fact that I was able to write 25,000 words, for me, that's a huge achievement in this case. I mean, I know previous years I could easily make 50,000 words. I have even made 50,000 words in less than a week. I mean, I have done that in the past, but as weird as it may sound to some, this 25,000 words is something I'm quite proud of because I managed to do it. And I'd like to encourage everyone who didn't make that 50,000 words to feel the same. Every word you've written is one more word than what you have written before NaNoWriMo. And everything you've done is an achievement. I mean, writing in itself, writing any novel in itself is an achievement, because it is not something everyone can do. So the fact that you did it, the fact that you picked up this challenge, and that you managed to do that, it is amazing. And sure, there are people who didn't make that 50,000 words, but you picked up the challenge, you started writing, or you continued writing. I mean, the rebels amongst us, I am one, and I do know a few in my community who are rebels as well. We all wrote during the month of November, and perhaps it wasn't every day, perhaps it wasn't 30 days, perhaps it was just a few days, but we all kept writing, and that is what counts. That is what is admirable in all authors. I mean, you cannot. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for that noise. I really hope he's done soon. I had not expected this. And did I hear, well, you're a rebel as well? Yeah. And you're an awesome rebel because you made such an amazing word count. That is so great. And indeed, a pat on the shoulder for everyone. I mean, I love it. I love it. Yeah, that sounds, it's kind of annoying, but okay, we'll get through it. I do assume that he will be finished before I am finished with the live stream. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go up ahead and ask if he can stop until 5 p.m. or something. Anyways, like I said, NaNoWriMo is a challenge, but it doesn't matter if you, in my point of view, in my the way I see it, it doesn't matter if you made it or not. You did an amazing job, and that is what counts. So, what can you do once NaNoWriMo is finished? There are a lot of my apologies. There are a lot of possibilities. One is to set aside your project and don't think about it until it's April, because then we have Cabin NaNoWriMo. That is an option. The other option is to wait until July, because then we have another Cabin NaNoWriMo. And there's of course the option to wait until next year November, because then we have the full NaNoWriMo again. But there's one other option, no, two other options. For now, you just let it lie down, just let it breathe, and then look at it again in January. That is something you can do, or what I might do myself if my story wasn't finished, or if my story, my apologies, if my story was finished. Then I might just, I mean, it's the holiday season that has just started, let's be honest. So December is a very busy month. So if my story had been finished, I might say, you know what, I'll just set it aside for a month, and in January I'm gonna read through it again, and I'm gonna see where I need to edit it, where I need to adjust things, or perhaps if I need to completely rewrite the story. I've had that happening in the past as well. That seriously is one of the options. One of the last option, or the last option I personally see is, oh my god. Well, no, not that's not an option. But anyways, the last option I see is, especially when you are not done with your story, keep on writing because you were in the flow. So keep on writing. And just keep on going until you feel like your story, your book, your project, your series is finished, or at least the first draft of it. And then from there, see what you're going to do. So those are all, I think, excellent options to go through, or to check if you can do that. And Dida, you say you love watching people work. Now let them work. Well, it's okay as long as it's not too much for you guys, because for me, I mean, I can really hear it quite loud sometimes. As long as on the other side it's not too much, then I'm okay with it. And yeah, you've been writing for 13 months already. I mean, that's, if you manage to do that, you really have a writing habit. It becomes a habit to write every day, or several days a week, or I don't know, every other day. That helps in developing your story and in developing your writing skills. And it also helps in communication with your family, let's be honest. I mean, all our families want family time, right? Most of the families anyways. So they'd like you to be there. But if you can show, listen, I'm setting aside that time for writing, and after that and before that I have all the time for you besides my job. I mean, you gotta go to your job or your school or college or university, things like that. I mean, you do have obligations of sorts. So it's obligations, and it's your writing time. You need to protect that, and it's your family time. And when you are building a habit, it also shows your family that you are serious about it, and that you are very much willing to spend time with them outside your writing time. And that's the best way. Dida, you are having a little breather to update yourself on other stuff, not writing stuff, because that was needed. Yes, sometimes you really need that. I mean, we all need a holiday, right? A holiday from work, and just from home, if you are looking for a holiday abroad. Those can be very relaxing moments, and just to get your mind off what you were working on. And sometimes that is also the best way to do it, because sometimes you can get so deep into your story that you simply don't see the details anymore that you might need to see, or don't see the errors that you might need to see. And when you take a step back and take a little break, and then come back after a day or a few days or a few weeks, and then you get back into your story, then you see those things. If you don't do that, you have the chance to become, let's say, kind of blind to your story. It may sound weird, but you don't see the faults anymore. You don't see where you've gone wrong for one reason or the other. I mean, it's something that you decide that's gone wrong. You may have ventured off a completely different path that is not handy for your story or for your characters, or that your characters simply do not agree with. I mean, yeah, I do know a few characters in the Tergaenae Chronicles that did other things than I had in mind for them, or that I would have thought they were going to do, and they just ventured off. They had something like, "Yeah, bye bye. This is not for me. I'm not gonna do that." So yeah, that can happen. That can happen. And if you take a little breather, just a few days, a few weeks, whatever you need, then you can get back in. Then you can get back into it, and you can see where the problem lies. Oftentimes, that is enough, and that is one of the reasons why I would advise, if you have finished your story last month. Last month sounds so far away. It was yesterday. I know it sounds far away, but today is the 1st, so last month was yesterday. If you managed to finish your story yesterday or earlier last month, it can be very wise to take that break and then go through your story in, let's say, January. Give yourself the holiday season where you can concentrate on all other kinds of things, and then look at it in January and see, okay, does this still feel good, or should I perhaps do something else? Dida, you say you have a list of about 5 different things you need to bridge in your story, so you don't need a breather for that, but it's 7 books long over these 13 months. Really, you're next to something I said. I missed that. I'm sorry. Yeah, and one of our recurring themes in the Discord, indeed, characters hijacking everything. Yep, that's. I mean that in our community, we see that happening on a regular basis. When we talk about characters hijacking everything, it goes from, I want to go left where you want to go right, so I'm gonna go left, and I'm gonna ignore what you want to do to the right. And all variations in between to I'm just not cooperating, and I'm just sitting here and I'm keeping my mouth shut and I'm not looking at you and I'm not doing anything. Anything in between, that's kind of what we talk about when we say hijacking. Because yeah, we've all been there, and I mean, our characters have done things of which we thought, okay, that is not what I had in mind, and that didn't benefit the story, and well, the character thought it was benefiting, but yeah, we had other ideas, so so that is hijacking, characters hijacking everything. Did you say you agree? Some even say it's wise to let drafts rest up until 3 months. 3 months, really? Oh, wow. Wow. Well, maybe it's not so much the amount of months, but maybe we should think about, or we should see it as getting back to your draft, if you have finished your story, that is. Getting back to your draft when you don't remember where what is, where in which chapter certain events happen. You might have even forgotten certain events, because at that point, I think, if you don't know exactly the order of the events and how your character has changed, and the other characters and the world, in the span of your story, I think that might be a moment to look back at your story and to read it and to say, oh, okay, well, that doesn't work, that does work, that might need some adjustments, like that. Fresh eyes, you get that after 3 months. Is that so? Oh, okay, I had no idea. Well, perhaps it's 3 months indeed. Unless you're really busy, maybe, with loads of other things, and you just take a few weeks. But I guess it depends on maybe also on how you started writing it and how deep you were into the story. If you've been writing it for quite a long time and you are really deep into the story when you end the story, I can imagine that it will take quite a while for you to get out of it and to get that fresh eye feeling, so that you can have a more objective look at your story, because essentially that is what you are looking for when you have written your first draft, or any next draft. When you finished your story, let me put it that way, at some point you need that you need your own fresh look, you need your own objective look at your story. And once you've reached that point, you might cringe when you start to write. I mean, that's very well possible. I remember I cringed when I found that I had written myself into such a corner that no amount of pain could get me out of it, because I had mixed up all the point of views and elements and events and things like that. I didn't need any time at that moment, because I started reading back and I had something like, yeah, okay, it's gone wrong there and there and there, and okay, I just need to completely rewrite the whole thing. So of course it completely depends on how well developed your story is, how deep into the story you are, and how deep into the characters you are, and with how deep I mean, can you still exactly say what happened at the beginning of the book when you have finished writing your book? Do you still know exactly what happened? And do you still know exactly what happened in, I don't know, chapter 5? If you still know that, take a breather, because you're gonna need that. At that point, you do not have an objective point of view anymore, because you are still too deep into the story, and that is when you need time. If you don't remember it, go ahead and start reading from the beginning again. Did you say rediscovering one's own story, but you won't listen to that advice? You think you need to feel finished with the constructing drafts. Yes, that is what I feel as well. That is why I want to continue writing the Tergaenae Chronicles. And I mean, in the beginning I said the background story of Nasya Nejat is purely that, a background story and nothing else. It's with the amount I have written before Nano and right now during Nano, it has slowly turned into its own book and into its own novel, and I'm far from finished with that background story. So I'm feeling it might in the end become the first book, and I've decided to just keep on writing, finish the background story, but keep on writing until I don't know what to write anymore, because I know myself, and I know that how shall I say that, in later parts of the story I might write things that I need to foreshadow in the first part, I might find characters that I need to reference to in the first part. So that is why I thought at some point, okay, you know what? I'm gonna finish the whole series before I'm going to split it up in books, and before I am going to look back at the first book and start editing, because knowing myself, if I start to edit the first book while I also still need to write those other books, I'll keep on editing because there will be so many ideas that come up. And that's not handy. That's not handy at all. So I'll just keep on writing the story, and once the complete series is finished, or once I feel the complete series is finished, then I'll have a look back at how things are and if things are still correct. If I need to adjust characters, if I need to adjust a storyline, if I need to adjust something in my world, things like that. That will come after I've finished all those first drafts of all the books of the entire series. And then I'll see. Did you say that's what you think because you're not there yet? Yeah, I recognize that. And one might cringe when starting to read as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you simply don't know. I mean, at the moment of writing, you think, oh, that's a good thing, and then you read it back months later, and you think, oh my God, did I really write that? At the same time, I also have a sort of similar experience with reading books written by others. I sometimes have read books of which I thought, okay, can you please maybe move along because the story is going so slow. But also books of which I thought, okay, in which era do you want this to play? Because it can be in the modern times, while you say it's from a few centuries ago. And I start recognizing more and more, and that's not always handy. I can assure you, because when you start looking at a book as an author with an author's point of view, he simply cannot unsee things anymore. As long as you can still read it, as long as you can still read it as a reader, there will probably be things that you don't see. But the moment you start to see things that you look at as an author, you can't unsee them anymore. So that's the moment that you start to cringe about books written by others. Or at least that's my experience. You can think of certain details and know roughly where to find it in which book, so you're very subjective, that's for sure. Yeah, I know. I so recognize that. Which, what I'm describing is highly recognizable. You've become so critical, especially for fantasy. Well, I have to be honest, I've become critical for basically any kind of book, any genre. But especially fantasy, and especially when it comes to world building, because world building is one of the things I love to do. And when I see glaring things of which I think, okay, you really should have fixed this before you published it. Yeah, that's the moment when I think, okay, I need to either swap my cap from author to reader and ignore that, or I need to stop reading the book, because otherwise I'm going to be really annoyed by all the rest I read, and that's a shame. Did you say you have you're lots more selective about what you read as well? Yes, it's I mean, I read fantasy, and I will read fantasy of indie authors and basically of any author, but I take a look first at the summary that's been given in the book or in reviews, if the book hasn't been given a summary. I mean, to be honest, if the book hasn't been, well, no, I have to rephrase that. Sometimes publishers do not give summaries at the back of a book or the inlay of a book. That is so annoying because I want to know what the book is about and I don't want to know what someone else thought about the book written on an inlay. I want to know what the book is about. I mean, it's all fine there's a title and it's all fine that some famous author thinks that it is a wonderful book, but that still doesn't tell me what the book is about. So then I look at reviews to see what the heck the book is about, because how else am I going to find out? If a book does have a summary, I will look at the summary and see, okay, is this something that I might like or not? And sometimes in the summary I already see things that I think, that's it might have been something if there was just a little bit more. And sometimes the summaries are awesome, and then I start to read the book and I think, okay, where did that summary come from? Because I don't recognize it in the book. That's a big issue. I've seen that happening. And did he say classical error? A character picks up the fork to eat and put the spoon down 5 pages later. Why did he eat that slow? Yeah. Hey Melissa, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. That's awesome to see you here again. How did November go for you? Did you manage to reach the goal of 50,000 words? And yeah, 5 pages. Well, of course it's. I mean, it's possible that he just kept hold of that spoon, but he started with a fork. So where did he take up the spoon? That's one. And also, I mean, you can start in the morning with breakfast with a fork, then have lunch on page 3, and then have dinner on page 5. So that's very fast. I mean, it all depends, but you do have a point that if he starts at page 1 to eat and he is still at the same meal at page 5, either a lot has happened in between and he is quickly finishing off his meal on page 5, or the author just took way too long to describe that meal. And in that last case, no. Melissa, you say you're finally able to make it. Awesome, awesome. And 75,000 words. Excellent, congrats. That's great. That I really love that. And Melissa is one of our community members who has been writing with us, and if I'm correct, you made that goal quite early in November. If I recall that correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong. You say today you're working on getting all your writings into Scrivener so that you can start to determine structure and flow. It's intimidating because you're a full-blown pantser. Oh, oh, that's so much fun. Well, you know, you can take the first step and be a planter. I mean, I am a planter. I don't use highly detailed outlines because that really does not work for me. But I do need some kind of structure to work within. So my outlines are quite simple, key phrases and keywords, and that's it. And I have been known to write a chapter of 10,000 words based on 2 sentences. So, I mean, yeah, that happens. That is also when you start to think, okay, so I have this outline of a couple of tens of chapters, and how long is my book gonna be if one chapter is already 10,000 words? So yeah, yeah. I wish you good luck with bringing all your projects into Scrivener, but I think not but I think Scrivener is a wonderful tool, and I love it. I really love it, and um, if all goes well, I will publish my video about Scrivener Monday or at the latest Tuesday. I'm finishing up a few things, and at the same time also learning the video editing software. So there's a lot going on at the same time. So hopefully Monday and otherwise Tuesday, and then I will also show how I handle having series, working with series inside Scrivener, and all the rest. Like I said, I need some kind of structure to be able to work, especially to be able to work with all the details that I made up and that I found, and for my character profiles, for my world building, etc., etc. And that is why I use Scrivener, because I can make that structure and then just write the way I want to. My apologies, I have a ringing in my ear. So yeah, it's a challenge, but you can do it. I'm certain of it. And you say the last 2 weeks were a bit messy with the holidays. I can imagine. I can imagine that. Yes, it's not easy. And you met the 50,000 by the 10th, just after Dida and the rest. I did the rest of the month. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And you just don't write in order right now. Yeah, I mean, everybody writes in his or her own way. And oh, one moment. I'll get back to you in a second. Hoi, met livestream bezig? Oh, oké. Ben jij boven nog lang bezig? Oh nee, dat vroeg me gewoon af. What happened to my project? Okay, project is back. Oké, dank je. En succes! Apparently, I just pressed the wrong button. Can you still hear me, guys? I should have the mic again. My streaming software does recognize the mic. Excellent, excellent. So, if you did hear it, my friend just came downstairs to get something to drink, and he's gonna be working for a little while longer. No, his work is not done yet. He just came to get something to drink to continue upstairs. So yeah. Melissa, you said you don't write in order right now, but you know, everyone writes in their own way. For me, I need to usually write in order, in chronological order. But the fun part is, I've written the background story while I had already written book one, the nth draft. I don't remember which one. And so I started writing the background story because I needed to know where I needed to start the first book with all those new ideas I had developed these last 2 years. And at some point, my brains decided that it was a good thing to show me several scenes that will be either in book 2 or 3 or 4, which are related to Nasya Nejat, but which plays quite further into the future. So I've written that, and now I've gone back to the background story again. But I have had the same experience with the main story that I had already been writing. I've written scenes, chapters that are meant to be in the last book, and really the end of the last book. So even though I normally write chronologically, in this case I sometimes also write out of order. because apparently my brains at that moment just decide that that's the way to go for it. So if that works for you, just keep on doing it, because that's what is important. So that's great. And Didi, you say good luck with it. Remember to keep what works and discard what doesn't when you find them. Yes, that's an excellent advice. And I'd like to add to that: discard, but do not throw it away. Keep it in a folder called deleted text or something like that. I mean, you might find that you can use it later on, or a thing based on that deleted scene with completely different characters in a different setting, in perhaps a completely different story. So deleted scenes can be inspiration for other stories. They can be perhaps be adjusted later on and still worked into your current story if you find that after all it is needed. So yeah, discard but do not throw away. Melissa, you say, so like you sit down and words come out, and it doesn't matter if it's stuff from the MC's childhood or stuff from the MC's present or stuff from the MC's college. You know, that's okay. I mean, that is what comes out, and later on when you've written everything, you can start ordering things, or when you find that you can already order things, you do it at that moment. Don't let that hold you back, because the fact that you can write it means that you have that creativity, that creative flow going. So keep that creative flow going. And you say you think you're going to upload it all onto Scrivener and move things around as they are written until you find what order you want things to go in. That is indeed a very good way to use Scrivener, yes. That way all the information for all 3 books is there. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I use Scrivener. I have the Tergaenae Chronicles, and it's all in that one project in Scrivener, because I can easily make sections for each book and for each draft of a book, and still keep everything separated where it's supposed to be separated. And also have my research, have my character profiles, world building, etc., etc. It's all in Scrivener. That's why I love Scrivener. I mean, I have worked with other programs as well. I've worked with Google. I've worked with Google Docs. I've worked with Word. I've worked with Word Anvil and Campfire, but it didn't work for me. And I think Dida can attest that at some point Google Docs do not work anymore, because then you've written so much that you need to cut up your document, because Google can't handle the character amount or word count anymore. Dida, do you remember that the threshold of that? I do remember that we talked about it and that we felt it was weird, but I don't remember the threshold for that anymore. Melissa, I see you got your coffee. Excellent. You're currently pantless and very curious. Oh, that's great. That's great. I like that image. I mean, I've had a whole day today. I overslept, I have to say. I had planned to get up a few hours earlier than in the end I got up. But I've been grocery shopping, so yeah, I needed pants, or rather a skirt. I'm wearing a skirt, so I needed that. But it's and you know, I have some kind of structure in my stories. Well, in the main story, not in the background story. I have no structure in the, well, I'm writing it chronologically. That's the only structure I have. I do not have any plans for the background story. That's really something where I need to discover things. So that's going to be interesting. It stays interesting. And Melissa, you think your moniker is going to be the Pantless Pantser writer? I love that. You're going to work on that one, but something close. Ah, that's great. And Dida, you say about keeping and discarding, you were thinking about advices about functions in Scrivener. Okay, I think you have to elaborate on that a little bit more, so that I understand. I'm not quite sure what you mean with that. I think I have an idea, but please elaborate a little bit more. Melissa, you're still struggling to figure out how to save various drafts. I can see that you can edit and save to your hard drive, but you think the edits would be saved as the doc on Scrivener. I'll show you that. I'll make a note of that. I'll show you that in the video. Because there is a tool inside of Scrivener that gives you the option to make snapshots, and snapshots are essentially what are I'm sorry, I'm starting that wrong. Snapshots are essentially what you need to edit things, and to be able to get back to things. I do it a little bit differently because I mean, I know I'm used to the system of snapshots with working with game development and programming, because there you might want to return to other branches, to previous branches, because something works or something stopped working. That's why. But what I often do in Scrivener in writing is not take snapshots, but simply start a new small document and use that as the new text, so that I have the old text at hand, and then I can write the new text. But I will show that in the video as well. Thank you for the suggestion. So made a note for it myself, because I'm sorry, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, so that's what happens when you have Scrivener open and your streaming software and the key combinations are the same. So I still need to fix that. Yeah, I'm back in the chat again. Dida, you say you have a screenshot of three times that happening. Oh, that's from the word count in Google. Yeah, you'll see if you can find it and put it in Discord later. Yeah, I mean that's so weird. Melissa, you say you take the kids to school, let the dogs out, and then discard the pens every day. Underpants by day, mum by night. Oh, excellent. Yeah, when I go to work, I wear pants. I mean, being an interior cleaner in a gym, where you also have to clean the showers and such, yeah, I'm not gonna wear any skirts there. No way, Jose. But depending on my mood and depending on what I will do the rest of the day, I might take off my pants and wear skirts. Did I just sorry you disconnected to the topic now? Melissa, you think you were talking about working on a moniker at that point? Yeah. Did you post screenshots of the Google word count ceiling? Let's see. No, okay, I see. You forget what things are when commenting on things said. You're confusing yourself. Yeah, we have been talking about the word count ceiling for Google Docs, and that is one of the reasons why I love Scrivener, because essentially you do not have that ceiling, or at least I haven't discovered it yet. Let me put it that way. Melissa, you think you've lost the plot about a screenshot of what? Um, well, Dida has had the experience that she managed to hit the Google word count ceiling, and I know because we talked a lot about it, and she had a few screenshots about it of it. So that is what she was looking at and looking for. Um, she's just a bit of ADHD. Yeah, okay, no problem. Melissa, thank you. Thankfully, you work from home, so nobody else is subject to your underpants. Well, you know, one of my dreams is, well, my major dream is to be able to work from home at some point in the future, rather sooner than later. To be able to work from home as an author and game designer for my own company, and not only author and game designer, but also developing tools and such for other authors to help, and game designers to help with building worlds. And I'm not talking about developing a whole game engine. I'll leave that to companies like Epic Games and Unity and things like that, because I mean that's way too big. But I'll work with smaller things and develop things that are handy for authors and game designers alike. Um, so that is my big dream, to be able to do that in the future, and rather sooner than later, because that would be awesome. And of course, not only work like that, but also be able to pay all my bills and have a good life, and just be happy with what I do. That is my ultimate dream, to be able to do that, and publish my books and my games, and be able to live with that. I mean, it will be awesome if I could do that. Did you think you don't think Melissa's Monaco was at the same time as a topic you lost track of? No. And Melissa, you didn't know that Google Docs had a word count limit. Yeah, well, did I find out? I didn't know either. I had no idea. Melissa, you mean you're still wearing socks? Well, that could count as bad. Yeah. I mean, it depends on how long your socks are, but yeah, why not? I mean, sure. Do you think it's like you've heard and read varieties of that before? Yeah. Melissa, you've been working from home since shortly after the pandemic, to be honest. You think that was lifted around early 2022 here in the States, and you found a job working from home doing transcription. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's well, I mean, if you can find a job like that, and you can work from home, and you can set your own hours and such, that is really great. Awesome. Well, as you say, word count limits, that's pretty wild that there would be a limit. Well, I think I kind of understand. I mean, Google saves everything in the cloud, right? And at some point you reach a limit of what a file in the cloud, the size a file in the cloud can be. And I mean, we may just write words, but if you write enough, the file becomes quite big. And at that point, it reaches a size that might not quite be able to handle by the server. And to prevent that from happening, a company like Google and like any hosting company will limit the size of the files you can host on your server, and in Google's case on your Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, etc. Because otherwise it can break things. So in a way, with that background information that I already know for, I don't know, a couple of decades, I kind of should have maybe known, but I never thought about it that way. For Google, for some reason, I never thought about it that way. So yeah. Did you say at some point socks stops being socks and becomes stockings? Yep, yep, yep. Melissa, the socks on the socks you have reach your calves. Now that doesn't count as stockings. It's nah. I mean, it depends on how big you are, but calves, even if you were, I don't know, gnome like this, I don't think it would count as a pants. Oh, didn't you really? If you pay for an upgrade, the word limit is 1,000,000 words, you think? Oh, let me see if I can find any information about that, because now I'm really curious. I do know that that Google has a limit for forms, a character limit for forms. Let me see. Let me see. The first info I find here, when it comes to Google Docs, your document can only have 1.02 million characters. If it's another text file that you convert to Google Docs, it can only be 50 MB in size. So apparently that's something. Let's see if I can find anything else. Yeah, apparently it's the basics is 512,000 characters, regardless of the number of pages or font size, and so maybe the max is heightened indeed when you pay. I don't know. Let's see what core things. Oh, and Google, of course. Why isn't that at the top? Oh, this is interesting. This talks about 3,000 words. Yeah, that doesn't sound logical. I don't know. It's kind of weird. This information doesn't seem to be correct, I think. I found a word count from someone, 1.5 million characters, excluding spaces, that is. So apparently there are multiple experiences with Google, with the max of Google. So it's a bit weird, but yeah. I saw something about that somewhere. Yeah, various sources seem to not agree with each other, so I have no idea. Did you suggest to Melissa that you can crowd the typo line later on? Yeah, no problem, no problem. For those who don't know, we have a Discord community server, and we have a special channel there that's called typo lines. So when we find that we type something, that either one of us types something very regular wrongly, then we might put that in the in the typo channel, and I mean, just to see how that goes, and perhaps use things later on. One of the things I found this November is that I kept typing the name of one of my main characters from my main books, and mind you, I've written that name in several drafts already. And I also I always wrote it correctly, and for some reason this month, I started to write it wrong. Instead of Seamus with a U, I made it Seamus with a Y. And I kept doing that consistently. So this week I decided, okay, enough with it. His name is going to change. And it's gonna be Seamus instead of Seamus. So yeah, that's one of the things I posted in our Typoline channel in the community. Somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah, that's great. That's good. We'll keep that in. Melissa, you're in it for singing? No. I'm not gonna sing. I mean, you guys may sing, but I'm not gonna do that because I sing horribly. No, not gonna do that. Dida's go nuts. Please excuse you. Please go nuts. I mean, this is the Thank God It's Over live stream. So, I mean, we do just keep on writing, but we all know that. But you can go nuts. It's all okay. Lynette, yes, we need to define it now. That's a good one, Melissa. That's a good one. Post it in the Typoline channel, and maybe the others can come with ideas as well. Lynette, I have no idea yet. Did you say it doesn't matter? Also, sometimes you imagine things somehow. Oh, no problem. That's okay. That's okay. Melissa, hang on. You have to put on pants and get something off the porch. You'll be right back. That's okay. It's okay. Did you say Seamus is a great name? Thank you. Yes. Melissa, you want me to sing to you when you start working? Yeah, you do not want to hear me sing. Really, you do not. I can really assure you that. I'm a horrible singer. And for the record, there was nothing on the porch. Doggos were spooked for some reason. Yeah, I've seen that happening. I mean, dogs can be spooked by really the things that you think, okay, what's going on? Because I don't see anything. Maybe it was just a mouse. Nix Flair, welcome. I haven't seen you yet. Welcome in the stream. If you don't know us yet, we are all authors. And my name is Ilza, and I am a magic wielding dragon companion and creator of worlds. And today we are celebrating the end of NaNoWriMo. And how have you been doing? Have you been writing, or have you been doing something else? And you saw a comment about pants, yeah. That's the state we are in right now. Dina, we're totally goofy, and that's darn suitable for the Thank God It's Over. Exactly. Bear could be, yeah. Nix Flair, pants put on for nothing. Well, you can always take them off. I mean, if that's possible where you are right now. Melissa, your daughter is a great singer. You were asked to sing with them. You tried and ended up hurting some feelings. These are squirrels in Louisiana. Oh my God. Yeah. Melissa, you say Nix Flair. Exactly. Yes. It's a travesty. Oh, Melissa brought you. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. You met Nix during how on their channel and immediately subscribed. Oh, that's great. Well, it's nice to meet you, Nix Flair, and you're a writer. Well, yeah, if you did then you are a writer indeed. Are you? What kind of writer are you? What genre do you write in? And did you participate in NaNoWriMo, or did you do something else last month? And Melissa, you say Nix is amazing. Nix, you're going to make me blush. Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to see you all guys here and talk about writing and our experiences. it's so funny. Yeah. Unless you say you have a pet squirrel outside your house that taunts the doggos. Oh, really? They salivate over it all day and it stands on the other side of the glass door staring at them. Oh my god. That is some squirrel. Yeah. And when the dogs go outside, what does the pet squirrel do? Does it flee into the trees or is it still taunting the dogs? I mean, I can see that totally happening. Here, I don't have any pets, but I do have the birds. And these last few days, there was a pigeon, well, two pigeons actually, that decided that the roof of one of the feeders was an excellent place to sit on top of, and to go down. I mean, they sit on the roof and they try to do this to get to the food in the feeder that's under the roof. So I'm still surprised the roof hasn't broken up yet. It's far more sturdy than I expected it to be. And the smaller birds seem to want to cooperate with the mice in my garden and with the large birds, because they keep on throwing small food on the ground until they reach the sunflowers and the peanuts and other things that are in the food mix. I mean, I've seen them. These birds are really, I don't know, genius. I mean, they've been tapping the feeder because it was, they could see the sunflowers there, and it was like, and then they would look through the window, and it was like they were saying, "Come on, give me those sunflowers. I want those sunflowers. I don't care about the rest." So they've been quietly digging into the food. And I think if I look under that particular feeder, that I will find a lot of food there because the feeder is half empty right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep on chatting just and forget to check you guys in the chat. Did you ask what strikes you? Are you published? Nix, you did, and I hope you are okay if I call you Nix. You did Nano, yeah. You lean toward darker fantasy, but your project November was a second chance romance. Oh, that was to challenge yourself. How did it go? Did you find it a hard challenge, or did it surprise you in how easy it was to write it? And I'd love to hear about your darker fantasy project as well. And Melissa, you say the squirrel jumps up on the fan's top and just prances up there, continuing the taunt. Oh my god! And you talk to it a lot when you're outside, chastising. It listens sometimes. Nix, you're not published yet. Okay. Oh, excellent question, Melissa. Nix, did you get your word count? And what's your genre? I think Nix just said darker fantasy. Melissa, for the record, you do wear pants when you're chastising the squirrel. Okay, perfect. Oh my god, I think all of us can write a novel about that, or a novella. That would be awesome. Dida, good fun with some little critters around. I think Dida, you have some critters out there as well. Don't you have squirrels as well that try to get to the peanuts and things? And Melissa, there are activities for pens and activities for no pens. Yeah, you are exactly right about that. Yeah. Indeed, you say for sure. Yes. Nix, thank you for saying Nix is perfect. Excellent. Did you keep missing things? That's okay. Like we do in the Discord, we will catch you up with things. That's okay. Things with an S. Well, yeah, possibly. Nix, you're not sure about the tune. You hit 50k on November 13th and finished almost 70k on November 18th. Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations! You really squashed that goal of 50,000. And are you continuing with that second romance story, or is it really completely finished with that 70k? it's amazing the word counts I see. Let's just say the novella can be called The Great Squirrel Taunt. Melissa, I think I have a challenge for you. We want to read that book. We want to read that novella of The Great Squirrel Taunt. Dida, you had squirrels. I haven't seen them for a bit. Okay. And Nix, you say Nix with an I or with a Y, it works both. Okay, excellent, excellent. And Melissa, you ask if Dida didn't chastise the squirrels enough. Dida, chain writing, we should bloody try for a chain written story. Excellent, that's a good idea. I'd say post it in the Discord as a community challenge. I think, do we have a community challenge tab somewhere? We should really make one. No, we don't have that one. I'm going to make one real quick, just challenges, and we'll see where we'll place it later on. Chain writing, what did Melissa call it? The great squirrel taunt. Okay, it's in there. And next, feel free to join us in the Discord. I think that you will fit perfectly with us, with our community. Did you say, Melissa, the name is dog did? All right. I think you told us about that at some point. Cora finds it real fun to chase them. Melissa, you say to Dida, I would definitely call up on that kind of idea. Well, I've posted the challenge in our community channel, so I'd say go ahead. Oh, you actually have a serious question. Well, let's hear it. I'd love to hear that. Next, you're trying to decide if you should have two versions of your first novel, one with great spice and one with less spice. Okay, spice as in more intimate things? Well, I would say just go ahead and do that. And you ask, is bloody a swear word? It's used as a swear word, but I mean, a bloody shirt, it can literally be bloody. So it is a normal word that is also used as a swear word, I think. Did you have a feeling Nix is just ideal for our group as well? How about sending an invitation? I have the perfect thing. Well, oh wait, that's not the chat. Here's the chat. This should give you an invitation. Should. That's the wrong one, I think. Wait, what did Stream Elements do? That's not the correct one. Let me check. Oh, stupid thing. Yes. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Okay, wait. I don't know why it did the wrong one. I'm going to fix that. Just please ignore that link. It wasn't supposed to go there. I think I made an error in copying something. Yeah, I made an error. One moment, I will fix that link and then I will post it in the chat. Invite. Added no links. Generate. Copy. paste C. And then this now should be the correct link. If not, then I will post the link. Yes, that's the correct link. Just going there. Yes, excellent, excellent. Okay, so next, if you feel the same, just hit that link, and you'll be part of the of our fantasy button chair community server. I'm a little bit confused. So yeah, I'm going to check on the chat again. Your serious question, task, bombard Nix with Discord invites. Nix, you love Discord, please send me a link. Wait, I'll remove the first one, because that was the wrong one. No, not. Oh, huh? No, why can't I remove the message? Okay, apparently I can't remove messages from my chatbot. Interesting. Okay, so the first link is the wrong one, the second link is the correct one. Did you say about bloody? It's a swear word replacement sometimes as well. Yes, indeed. And bloody isn't much used in the US, but bloody everyone does in the UK. And yeah, indeed. Melissa, you have a friend who married someone from Australia, and she now says cheeky all the time. And you asked her the same question as though it were equally as serious. She told you you're crazy. No, you're not crazy. Absolutely not. Well, and I may have a new one for you, but that hasn't been used extensively yet. It's freckling lizards. My dragon companions like to say that. And yes, they are the dragon companions, but dragons are not considered lizards in the world of Tergaenae. Lizards are, well, let me rephrase it. The dragons do not consider themselves lizards. That's a whole touchy subject amongst the dragons. So yeah, freckling lizards. That's something the dragon companions love to use as a swear word, and depending on how much force they put behind it, it's just like, oh, freckling lizards, it didn't go well, or something really went really very wrong. So yeah, that's I mean, if you're looking for something new, use freckling lizards. You're very welcome to do that. That's a little guy wearing a hat. I think I lost you there, Melissa. He's supposed to be laughing, you know, full on making yourself chortle. Lots and lots of fun with people from all over the place. I love it. I love it. Yes, fantasy button chair tavern. That's it. I need to correct that in the bot commands. Dida, I think you can use those commands as well. You should be able to use those commands. Let me put it that way, because the moderators all should be able to use that. Fantasy button chair tavern. Oh, I forgot that. Tavern. Oh, air. Oh, well, I can do that way. Okay. Next, you say you're all art fun. You all are fun. Yeah, thank you. And Dida, we're pretty goofy today. I think that oftentimes we can be pretty goofy, but also very serious about, well, pretty much everything. And did you say you recall the freckling lizards? Oh, ouch! Yes. For those, for all of you, Dida and I go a long way back, and we have talked about so many things in our worlds. And I talked about the freckling lizards with her as well, and she knows what the freckling lizards are. So for all of you, the freckling lizards in Tergaenae are, it's a concept that I haven't fully worked out yet, but in the base, it's it is a lizard, and it has, well, freckles, spots, whatever you want to call it, and when this lizard is in a dangerous situation or is attacked, I should say, it can shoot out those freckles um, with a poisonous substance, and I haven't figured out yet how the freckles go back or grow back, I should say, or how, perhaps it's more that they open up and some poisonous substance is shot out of it. I'm not quite sure about it. But yeah, that's freckling lizards, and you do not want to meet freckling lizards, or rather, you do not want to make them angry to a point that they will defend themselves like that. So when someone starts to swear like that, you do know that something is at least not quite good. So yeah, hence Nina's laughing. And did you say I wish it's ashtray? I use ashtrail. Yes, that's a good one as well. And Melissa, you say, oh my lord in heaven, I have to put pants on and check the porch again. Oh, are the dogs at it again? You'll be right back. Okay. And Dida, we're more often goofy in the Discord than here as well. Yes, we kind of try to be a little bit serious here. I'm sorry, I had some itching on my leg. We try to be a bit serious here in the live streams, but today it's the Thank God it's over, so I don't care about it, to be honest. Normally on a Friday, Nix, for you, on a Friday I will do live streams with writing sessions, and I try to keep it at 2 to 3 hours, but sometimes I would just go on until I'm kind of finished. So I have had live streams where I would go on for 6 hours. That also happens. So that is the usual live stream on a Friday. I start at 3 p.m. Amsterdam time, and after that I'll just keep on going until I feel that either I'm way too tired or I don't have any writing juices anymore. So yeah. Melissa, pray for your dog. You want us to pray for your dogs because you are ready to sell them to science. Oh my god. What did they do? And you're gonna put on a playlist for them, and hopefully that will help. I hope it will help. And Dida, yes, music might help. And Nix, you've done that as well. Oh, excellent. Yes. Well, in a way, music can actually help creatures, dogs, birds, whatever pet you have, as well as us. And yeah. Melissa, you say that they keep barking at phantoms, you think. Okay. Barking and dipping, you reckon, is what Dida asks, or to that squirrel in Louisiana. Melissa, you say, like full-on barking and bouncing around like happy hyenas, to be exact. Oh my god. Are there perhaps any mice around? I mean, I sometimes have the dog from my brother as staying over, and she is quite interested in the mice in my garden. I mean, I have to admit I haven't seen them in a while, but oh, something fell down. I see. Okay, I'll have to fix that tomorrow. But yeah, she's quite interested in the mice in my garden, so she might bark and yip and things like that, and I won't even see a thing, but she sees the mice, so it could be something like that. Oh, your dogs are really weird, Melissa. You say they will start, and the moment you put on the pants, they stop and just stare at me. They're challenging you. They're really just challenging you. You said typically UK dog walker, dogs full of beans. And I think I have to get some extra lighting because it seems a bit dark. Let's see, is this better? Not really. Let me see if I can fix it in another way and still keep my. Oh, that's the wrong one. That one. Hopefully this is better. A little bit. Yeah, I've turned the lights, one of the lights, to a little bit in a different angle because it was kind of blinding me when I was writing. But it's not ideal. I'm still working at my kitchen table for live streams and writing and well, basically everything I do on a computer. I'm still working on my on remodeling my rooms upstairs to make a proper working desk there. I'll have to see. Did you say Melissa's dog want to go for a walk? Yeah, it could be. Melissa, you think they are actually barking at something on the porch? There's nothing there, you promised. You usually go out that way to walk, though. You go out the back way for poo and squirrel time. Okay. Well, I think I might agree with Dida. Dogs being goofy, then. Yeah. Haunts could be. And maybe they have squirrels or something, or squirrels, little, I don't know, little birds, pixies. Yeah, why not? Sasquatchland. Oh yeah, that could be something as well. So it's, I mean, dogs can be really weird, and I do know. I mean, I go out for walks regularly here in the park behind my house, and normally dogs just will greet me and come to me for hugs and things like that. But when I wear a black skirt and a black coat, then you see them really looking like, do I know you? Can I trust you? I don't know. And they will really go out on a limb to not get in my path. And especially when I'm wearing sunglasses. I mean, they really do not like sunglasses apparently. So yeah, dogs can be weird. And Melissa, you say perhaps they have gotten the chaos. Well, I mean that can happen. You have the chaos daily, but it's usually limited to your head and online shenanigans. And you know, sometimes chaos just needs to get out. And I mean, if that affects your dogs, you can't help that, right? Like Dida says, it's okay. She spills as well sometimes. I mean, that happens. And I mean, pets and other animals, they can be really weird. I mean, yeah, that's those pigeons. They are not gone. I guess it's getting too dark. Those pigeons that sit on the roof and at points they will really look into my kitchen like, okay, can you get me some food? And other times they will just bend over that roof and try to get to the food without falling off that little roof. I mean, how? They are just crazy. Melissa, you feel as though you should be more careful with the chaos. Well, it depends. I mean, chaos can be very creative. It can cause very creative outlets, and Um, why would you limit yourself? Why would you limit yourself? I mean, there's no need to. Well, normally there's no need to. It kind of also maybe depends. And it's it's just all, pets are just crazy, and how we can influence them with what we do and what we also what we feel. I mean, on a more serious note, pets can be really awesome if they feel that you are down or that you are hurt, or also physically hurt. They really seem to understand that. That is what I love about pets, and also, I mean, also other animals, not only those that we keep as pets, but also look at dolphins, for example. Dolphins seem to be able to notice that humans have some kind of illness or anything, and they are really incredible creatures. That's awesome. Did you say chaos is a serious matter? It is. There's a difference between the limits and the restraints as well. True, true. I mean, how shall I say that? I think restraints is often something that is done by others to someone, while limits are often things we set ourselves. And of course, limits are also set by others for whatever things. But yeah, it's those are things we have to deal with in one way or another. Pets and stories. That's an excellent question, Dida. In my case, in Tergaenae Chronicles, there are well, several pets actually, several kinds of pets as well. There are the regular dogs and cats. Some people might have tiny dragons as a pet, but depending on how they deal with it, how they take care of it, the dragons might also just go away. And with tiny dragons, I don't mean the dragons, the baby dragons. I really mean tiny dragons. But there are also creatures that I like, that I call familiars, and they can also bring around messages, for example. So yeah, there are several kinds of pets in Tergaenae. And Dida, what kind of pets do you have in your stories again? And you asked if Melissa raised the dogs. Melissa, you think the dogs think they are human, and it's all your fault. You literally tucked them in at night. Okay, okay. You raised one and rescued the other. Oh, awesome, awesome. And Nix, your kitten is a chaos demon like me. Our kittens can be so cute. Alright, Dida, your MC Jack is a cat and horse person, exactly. And Melissa, the first one that is the one that you raised, is technically rescued because she was going to be taken to a shelter if you didn't swoop her up as a baby. She's a purebred, but no one wanted her. Aww, last of the litter. Well, it's good that you took her in. That's awesome. And Melissa wants to see this chaos demon kitty from Nyx. Oh. Did you have a lot more cats than dogs? Excellent. Melissa, the other one was rescued from your daughter's father's friend's house. Okay, the owner was really mean to him, kicking him and making him spend all his time outside. So we ran over and saved him. Ah, that's a very good thing to do. I'm really happy that you guys did that. Still makes your blood boil. He's the best doggo ever. Yeah. I mean, when you rescue a dog like that, it's awesome. It's awesome. And you also say there's a reason you're divorced from the kid's father. He has stupid friends. Next, you have 2 cats and 1 dog, and also a fish, but you use her water changes to water plants. Well, why not? Why not? A funny thing is that plants can actually, if you have plants that are also outside of the water, that have their roots in the water and grow outside of the water, those plants can actually filter your water for you, so that you don't need that much water changes in your aquarium. Or so I'm told. I don't have that experience myself yet, but I've seen it in several sources. Melissa, you've literally had to take him to doggy therapy because he was unbelievably anxious and would cry when I left. Oh my god. That's so sad for him. But I'm glad that it is solved. Because I assume it is solved right now and that he won't cry when you leave anymore. I mean, when dogs are treated badly, also when cats are treated badly, by the way, it is so sad. Today I watched a short video on YouTube from someone who regularly visits shelters, dog shelters, or animal shelters, I should say. And he visited a dog or he talked about a dog that he visited earlier in another video. And luckily, this dog is doing very well right now. The dog was not so much abused, well, not physically abused, but malnourished and things like that, and ignored and by the original owner. And the dog has now found a very nice family, and they love him, and he's doing great. So it's awesome when that can happen, and it's great to hear stories like that. Melissa, you say next, that's a really good idea. You've been collecting rainwater recently to water our plants. Yeah, rainwater is excellent. I mean, plants grow so much better from it. And I try to use rainwater as well, oftentimes. It's working so far. Yeah, I mean, here in the Netherlands we have quite clean water. We do not have as much chlorine and such in the water. In the tap water, but still you see that when you use rainwater to water your plants, that they will do better than when you use regular tap water. So I try to use rainwater as well. And Melissa, you say Doggo is doing much better now. He's happy and goofy, and you've liked watching his personality emerge. Gained some weight and is super strong right now as well. Ah, that's great. That's great. And did you say animal abuse? You get that you react, and you might as well blow up. Yeah, I can relate to that. Things like that are just so bad, so bad. Melissa, you don't understand why they had him in the first place. He's a hyper dog and sometimes hard to manage, and they clearly had no patience. Yeah, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing. Lily, you don't have any water restrictions here, and you can't help the rest of the world by saving water. Makes no difference actually. Well, we don't have any water restrictions here either. Not even when we had the drought several years ago. I mean, that was a huge drought. Well, we had at some point the farmers and big companies and such got water restrictions, but we didn't have it yet as civilians. But the advice was not to water the garden during the day. I mean, especially when it's 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, and you start watering your plants outside while the sun is burning. I mean, that doesn't help. Especially doesn't help your plants, because usually the water will mostly vaporize instead of actually watering the plants. But I do find that the rainwater does help my plants. So yeah, I don't know, maybe our water is too clean. Did you say, Malaysia, such things are mysteries? Yes, yes, indeed. And 2018 was dry here. Yeah, that seems to have differed for several countries. Here in the Netherlands, it was really 2019 when we also hit that 41 degrees Celsius during the summer, and we had a drought from March to well into October, or maybe into November even. I don't quite remember. They said we needed 5 years of normal Dutch weather to recover from that drought from that year. And normal Dutch weather is regular rainfalls. So it would take 5 years of that to recover. And the next year, it wasn't a drought period like in 2019, but it wasn't a lot better. So yeah, it was weird. And this year it seems to be better in some way. Well, at least autumn has seen a lot of rain, and that's okay. That's okay. Hopefully, it will help the farmers in watering their crops in come spring and autumn, because that would come spring and summer, because that would be good. Melissa, you say you're doing the water thing just to help bring your water bill down, and it's supposed to be better for the plants. It's just something we wanted to try. No water restrictions here. Yeah, different reasons for saving, says Dida. Yeah. I mean, it's for me, I would really need a how do you call that in English? A rain bucket thing, whatever. Let me see. What's that in English? A rain barrel, of course, of course. I don't have a rain barrel, but I have a few buckets outside that are currently quite filled with rainwater, so I can water my plants for I don't know, a couple of weeks if I look at that. But it's I mean, all that we can do to get healthier plants. Oh, I'd try that. I'd like to try that. Wait, I'm going to put this somewhere else that's better. Catching up again. Melissa, you say, speaking of watering, you need to change out the buckets real quick as it's raining right now. Okay, pants on, be right back. Excellent, excellent. Dida, you say like you're saving on electrical power, it's expensive. Nixie, you pants. You installed solar panels last year. Yeah, that's awesome. We installed solar panels, I think about 10 years ago or something. It was quite a while ago, and it made such a huge difference in our electricity bill, and it still does. I'm very happy that we did it back then, even though people in our neighborhood were like, "Why do you do that? And it looks so ugly. Why did you do that?" And now they're all following our example because of the prices of electricity, and they don't care. They don't seem to care anymore about the fact that the solar panels don't look that nice on your roof. It's all about saving money right now, which is understandable. Sometimes, I mean, things like that, like electricity and gas and water, it can become so expensive. If I look at gas stations, I mean, I need to pay about, well, now it's 190 euros for petrol per liter. That is, I mean, that's not per gallon like in the United States. It's per liter. That's a huge amount. I mean, if I fill up my gas tank, if I need to fully fill it, I easily pay 60 to 70 euros for that little tank that I have in my car. So yeah, prices have developed in such a weird way that I can totally imagine that people are looking for various ways to save money. So yeah. Did you say it's not worth it over where you live, since the power company would ask you to pay for using their lines out when you produce, if that's what you did? Ah, okay. Rain barrel. Yeah, where you keep the where you collect the rain in. And solar panels have gone very cheap, and now it's not worth it to install them anymore. Typical, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I have to say, here in the Netherlands, we people are still installing solar panels, but we do not have to pay the power company, not yet anyway, I think. I have no idea how that is going to evolve. And did you say firewood has been the cheapest for a while now, still is for the time being? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, we pay for a cubic meter, I think, or two. We easily pay 200 euros for firewood. And of course that depends on how much you need it. But if you also need it to get hot water, then you might need a lot more than just a 200 wood. And I don't know. We will have to see how it progresses. It is. Oh, the petrol it's a little shy of 4 euros. Oh my god. Per liter. Jeez. I guess here in the Netherlands we are lucky, because 4 euros a liter, that's something I cannot pay. I mean, that's way too much. That's crazy indeed. Oh, 2 euros or more. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm right now. The prices have gone down. It's 190, between 190 and 195, but it has been 225, and that was, I think, a month ago, 2 months ago. So that's really really a lot. Luckily, it has gone down, but it won't go back to the old prices anymore, I expect. I mean, before, or until a couple of years ago, before the war broke out in the Ukraine, and a little bit before that, the prices were around 125, 130. I mean, 130 was already a high price, and now we consider 130 to be a very low price. I mean, that's not something we're going to see anymore. But keep all those things in mind. I mean, changing prices and people using rain barrels or solar panels. Those are all very good things, writing prompts and world building prompts, and things to think about when you write and when you are developing a story. I mean, especially dystopian stories. You can use so many things of that. Melissa, that's 375 liters per gallon, I think. Could be, yeah. Next, you get small credits when you overproduce, but for the most part, you only have enough panels for you to power the house. Canada has weird laws about power production. Yeah, we here I have solar panels, and solar panels are for electricity, and I have the other panels for hot water, but those mostly only work in the summer and spring, because then we will have a lot more sun, of course. So yeah, but I don't think. Well, yeah, I have set prices at the moment for both electricity and gas. I was really lucky to be able to set them for 5 years, to fix them for 5 years. I don't think, well, I know that we don't get anything for producing. I do know that there are plans to have us pay or something if we overproduce, but I don't know what the current status is over that. I'd have to check that. Melissa, you pay about $350 per gallon where you are. That's cheap, if I'm correct. $350 per gallon, and there's 375 liters in a gallon. Wow. Oh wow, that's a huge difference. Unless you say, so let me see what that encompasses. You are paying €2 per liter, yeah. This is an enormous amount of math. Why did I decide to be curious? Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Liter to gallon. 1 liter. Oh wait, I'm gonna turn it around. Gallon to liter. Yeah, 375. That's 375 liters, and sorry, 379. I see it wrongly. 379 liters, and we pay Dida pays 215, so that's €8 for 1 gallon where Dida lives, and where I live it's 379 times 195, I think. I would have to pay 739 for 1 gallon. So yeah, those are huge prices. So 350 for a gallon. Melissa, that's cheap. That's really cheap. Next, you live in Alberta in Canada. Okay. And Dida, you haven't seen those prices in 15 years. Yeah, $75. Yeah, we need to correct that for euros. Yes. Next, you ask, is this petrol? Yes. And well, let me check petrol. I think petrol is our petrol. Oh, I did it wrong. I need that one. Yeah, that's petrol, Nix. And that's petrol indeed. Yes. Unless you say that's astronomical, yes, it is. It's actually, and it's so weird. You were using €2 for the purpose of being simple. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that's how things are here in Europe. And Dida, you asked Alberta next to British Columbia. Why is that unfortunate? And Melissa, in January 2020, it was seriously $1.90 per gallon. Holy, that, I mean, those are prices unheard of here in the Netherlands. That's crazy. Next, you pay 140 Canadian dollars per liter at the station next to your place. 119 per liter in the town next to you. Holy moly! I mean, I can't compare per liter. Sheesh! Those are prices we haven't seen here in Europe for such a long time, for years actually. Yeah, it's crazy. Petrol isn't as expensive in Canada for sure. Yeah, I can see that. Next, you say Alberta is a dumpster fire. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you say, oh yeah, it's because of the fires? Yeah, you see why Americans are complaining about fuel prices. well, let them come to Europe and experience the European prices, and they won't complain about it anymore. Melissa, you aren't taxed the way you are for sure, but we also don't have universal healthcare here either. Well, the tax is apparently, or so we're told, just a small amount of that. The tax that is put on, the extra tax at least, is 17 cents. But but on top of that, we pay 21% in sales taxes. So that makes a difference as well. And yeah, universal healthcare. Well, that differs per country. If I look here in the Netherlands, we all pay a certain amount. We all have a basic insurance, which is obligated, and depending on the insurance company, you pay a little bit more or a little bit less. The prices for the basic insurances don't vary that much. It's the prices for the extra insurances, but like my glasses, I don't get paid. I don't get, well, 100 euros once every 3 years, and my glasses cost 600 euros to buy them. So I mean that $100, that 100 euros, that's almost nothing. Physical therapy, that really depends on the insurance you get. Up until 18 years old, physical therapy is covered in, no, that's dental care. Physical therapy, we get 6 treatments in the basic care, and depending in the basic insurance, and depending on your extra insurance, you get a lot more, and you pay a lot more for that. So yes, we have universal healthcare, but depending on if you get extra insurance, you get even better healthcare. But lots of things are covered, and I have to say we pay a price for the healthcare for our insurance, and we have what is called eigen risico, or our own risk, and that is almost 400 euros per year. And any medical bill is paid first from that, and once you filled that 400 euros, then you are covered by the insurance. So that 400 euros that comes on top of your insurance price. But it is a good system. I mean, if I have to go to the hospital, for example, I know that at most I will pay 400 euros, and the rest is paid by insurance, and I won't have an extreme medical bill of 10,000 euros for just visiting the hospital for a broken arm. I don't know. I mean, that's a weird example, but I've heard prices like that. So yeah. Checking back. Nix, you live in the oil and gas region of Canada, and you pay the least across the country. Ah, okay. Melissa, you're not complaining about it, except that the spike was so intense. Also, we have traveled a lot further than those in Europe. Yes, yeah, that is indeed an issue. I mean, if I look here in the Netherlands, if I have to go from the most southern tip to the most northern tip, not counting the islands, it would take me 5 hours, I think, at the most. I mean, that's a huge difference compared to the United States. So I get it. I get it. And Dida, you say you complain still because the tax level on fuel is like 85% of the price. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how much tax is a part of the fuel price here in the Netherlands, but it is quite a lot. So it could be 85%. I have no idea. I don't know. And Melissa, you believe overall you are taxed far less in general than most Western European countries. I have heard that before, indeed, from other USA citizens, from friends that I know through Discords and such. At the same time, if I look at hourly wages and stuff like that, then I think, I don't know if it's such if it's so great that you guys don't pay more taxes, because here we don't have hourly wages of 2 or 3 euros for adults. I mean, sure, kids of what's minimum age? 14, I think. They are paid less, but that is until sometime next year, I think, because the European Union has stated that 14 euros should be the minimum wage for everybody. So yeah, that makes quite a difference compared to the United States. I'm not quite sure what you mean with that, Melissa. Sanine. Did you say here the prices are crazy for public transport, even on a short distance? It has been since after COVID. Yeah, things have changed so much since COVID, since pandemic. But as you say, your premium for your insurance here is what? 750 per month? Is that for your whole family? Or is it per person? That's just to have the insurance. Then there are deductibles and co-pays. Typically deductible for us is 1,500. Holy moly. The co-pay is roughly $50 for emergency room visits. Okay. Did you have to start thinking about dinner? Actually, it's 5 p.m. here in Norway. Oh, right, yes. It's dinner time already. Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Time flew by. Melissa, the out-of-pocket fees are around $200 whenever we need medicine or just paying for testing. Wow. Wow, that's such a huge difference. And none of this covers prescription out of network or seeing a doctor not covered by insurance in any situation, including emergency. Seriously? Wow. Dita, that's like over 10 times more than here. Yeah. Well, my calculations are not really good at the moment. I've not quite kept track of things. Melissa, so yeah, gas going up is an issue because you have so much dedicated to staying alive, and any raised costs elsewhere strains being able to eat. Yeah, I can totally imagine that. It's such a difference here in Europe. Do you say raised costs? I could list a lot. We're drowning in price increases. Yes, I mean, I don't see any prices going down anymore. We keep paying more, and I mean, last year they said, oh, the inflation is just a couple of percent, and then I thought, okay, if it's just 2 or 3%, then how is it possible that I have to pay 50% more for this item or that item? Where did you get that the inflation of only 2 or 3%? I mean, I don't get it. But I don't see prices going down anymore. I don't see that happening in the future. But that's just me. We'll have to see, I guess. Did he already getting a headache thinking about it? Yes. Nix asked where Dida is located. Norway, yeah. And Dida or Melissa, inflation is unreal everywhere for sure. It is indeed. The strain means we have to choose to go uninsured next year, probably so we can feed the flock and be able to pay all our bills. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Melissa. But I mean, that's so bad. Here in the Netherlands, we do have situations like that for some people, but mostly everyone is insured. But we have a completely different system, and that makes a huge difference. Did you have to go and cook Johnny as fussy as a small boy? Well, I wish you a good dinner, and I won't do any live streams this this weekend or during the week. Next live stream will be next Friday, and next Friday is a special live stream because then we will talk about naming locations, taverns, and such. So Dida, I think it was one of your suggestions, so I hope that you can be there next Friday. And if you have suggestions that you would like to send in before the live stream and get a shout out during the live stream, fill out that form, and then I can give you a shout out during the live stream. Let us know what awesome names you found. And Melissa, you said premium is for family, thankfully. Oh, phew, that makes a difference. Next year you will get state insurance for the kids individually and just go without for the year. Okay. Okay, so you can change that for the kids. Oh, that at least you've got that. Dida, yeah, Junior is 18. When is he gonna cook for me? Yeah, that's quite an issue. And see you later, Dida. So yeah, I mean, insurance and things like that, it's so crazy. And in that respect, I'm thankful for the situation here in the Netherlands where we pay insurance and we get a lot. We get quite a lot, and I mean, it's not always easy. I use quite a lot of medicine, so I know I always pay my own risk price. I mean, I'm always through that 400 euros, probably at some point in the first half year. But I do know that after that I won't get any medical bills, so that makes, unless I have something dental to do, because our dental insurance doesn't cover everything. So that makes quite a difference, and I'm quite lucky for that, living here in the Netherlands. Melissa, you say, as adults we cannot get insurance through the state, but Illinois has committed to insuring all kids with minimal premiums. Hopefully they can keep the same doctor. Oh, it depends on your insurance if you can keep the same doctor. Oh, wow. Well, it's at least good that Illinois has decided to insure all kids, but yeah, that can't be easy. I mean, here in the Netherlands, they will start looking at why you can't insure yourself and things like that. They are quite, more and more companies start to look at that. Like also the companies for rental homes and things like that. They will see how they can help you get better and get a better income, to make sure that you can pay all the bills. So more and more companies are looking into that to help people and to help prevent them getting in deeper financial trouble. So that's something I like about living here. They really try to do that. And you say thankfully you're relatively healthy. That's great to hear. Yeah. And yet the insurance gets to choose which doctor it covers. For your general practitioner, I mean, our insurance companies here in the Netherlands, they have preference policies for things like physical therapists and acupuncturists and things like that, and they may have preference policies for medication, and they may have certain contracts with hospitals. But our general practitioner, we can just choose them, and we have a wide variety of physical therapists and such to choose from. And in the basics, you won't be denied access to any hospital, so that's a good thing as well. I'm surprised that you guys need to check the insurance to see if you can go to the doctors that you prefer. Yet the insurance gets to choose with they have networks of doctors, and if yours isn't in a network, they don't cover the area provided, the care provided. Wow, the care provided. And for the kids, most pediatricians are in network for most insurances in the region, thankfully. Ah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. For any specialty and even for general services, your dog has to be in a network or you pay full price. Wow. And the full price is different. If you go and the insurance denies coverage, then it's so much higher than if you just go and don't ask insurance to cover it. Seriously? Wow. That's weird. That's really weird. Yeah, it sounds wild, yeah. And some dogs won't see you if you choose to pay cash for the visit either. Okay. Well, I don't think... I don't know. I think our general practitioners just send a bill, but then again, general practitioners are usually covered in our basic insurance. So that's not an issue. The issue comes with dental care and physical therapists and things like that, because if you do not have a good insurance or an extra insurance, you simply are not covered for that. If you do not have dental care insurance, then nothing is paid unless it's dental care for a kid up until 18 years old, if I'm correct, and then most of the things are covered, but not all, but most of the things are covered in dental care for kids. Melissa, you had a CT and insurance denied coverage for it, $950. Serious? I went the next year to get a follow-up CT. I said not to run the insurance, and you paid $375. Seriously? That's almost 1/3. They have the audacity to charge you far less if you don't ask to run the insurance. That's crazy. That's the difference. It's highway robbery. Yeah, it is indeed. I mean, if the insurance doesn't cover it, then you should just pay the same price as someone who doesn't ask to run the insurance. I mean, that's normal. They charge the insurance company for $950 or you directly for $375. Bizarre. And it was the same hospital, the same doctor? That's wild. I mean, I do know that here in the Netherlands it can differ between hospitals and clinics and such. I mean that can differ in price. Well, to be honest, for me it really doesn't matter, because once I've got all my medication, I'm already through my own risk, and health insurance pays. And maybe that's an easy way to think about it, but I already pay €400, so yeah, I will pay it nonetheless. You say you agree, but they have a bill of $950, and that's what has to be paid. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it was the same place? Oh my god. Insurance as a whole is a very corrupt industry with very little regulation or oversight. I think that's the difference here in the Netherlands. I mean, for the basic, the everything that's in the basic health insurance, that is decided upon by our government, and insurance companies cannot choose that. They cannot decide what is covered within that basic insurance package. All they can do is change the price of the basic insurance package a little bit, but you won't find differences of €50 or something between one company and another. It's mostly just, I don't know, 10, €20 maybe, but that's about it, not 50. And they all offer the same basic insurance because that is what the government has decided upon. It's when you start looking at extra insurance, that's when you get the real differences. For example, my current health insurance gave me 16 physical therapy sessions, while the health insurance I had last year only gave me 9, including the 6 that were in the basic insurance. So that changes. That's one of the reasons why people might change health insurance companies. And yeah, you pay a little bit more, or maybe you don't. I think I even paid a little bit less actually this year than I did last year for the same package, for the same services, basically for extra services. And you say what boggles your mind is that they decide a CT is $950 for insurance to pay, and that decision is made by the insurance company, so the place will bill the full amount that can be covered. What? So the insurance company, that way. The insurance company says, okay, we will pay a max of $950, and so the hospital or the clinic says, okay, we will charge you $950, even if it doesn't cost us $950. Okay, and the company will charge that amount to the insurance, and insurance will deny because it's not called for according to them. Yeah, that's that last part, that sounds a bit familiar. I remember I went to the apothecary to get my medicines, and I have hay fever and asthma, plus loads of other allergies. And I was doing I had treatment, immunotherapy, because of my allergies. And normally during such a treatment, I mean, that treatment can take 3 to 5 years. During such a treatment, it is quite vital that you keep getting the same medication, because otherwise you might get the wrong responses, the wrong reactions in your body. And my health insurance said, well, I will just change the preference policy for the medication, and you will not be covered for that medication. For the antihistaminic medication, and we will pay for that medication, while my allergist, while my specialist, who has a clinic with thousands and thousands of patients, could easily say, well, that's nice, but that doesn't work, and I have thousands and thousands of patients that can prove that it doesn't work, that it doesn't help, that actually it's counterproductive because people get sick. And then they said, well, you have to need it for a longer period of time. And then I told the insurance company, if you look at my data, I have a subscription with the specialist, and that subscription runs back to when I was 15. What do you think is going on? And I've been using these medications for years and years at end. What do you think is going on? I still needed to try that other medication, of which everyone knew it wouldn't work, for 6 weeks. That's the strange things insurance companies can do. So yeah. And you say they will agree to pay that amount before knowing what the treatment is for, and then deny after reviewing the file and saying it's not a treatment that is necessary, and even if it's preventative. Wow. Oh, wow. They have covered anything for your long COVID, even though it's well. They have covered anything for your long COVID, even though it's well documented as a medical issue. So you've been paying out of pocket for all those things. Oh, they haven't covered anything. Have not covered anything. Oh, wow. Well, here in the Netherlands, we were lucky because there was a special budget for long COVID patients, and we get 1 year coverage, or rather, what is it, 52 treatments, or anyways, for half a year, and then half a year extended. For physical therapy, we get occupational therapy, we get speech therapy, and it's all covered under the COVID part, and I was quite lucky with that because my COVID budget ran out somewhere in October, and luckily enough, I still had physical therapy sessions left in my insurance, so I can go on till the end of the year. But then it's really over. So that's too bad. Unless you say you're finally getting better after months of it, but having your heart rate monitored, your lungs checked over and over again, and blood drawn every other week is so expensive. Oh my god, yeah. Well, I was lucky because my lungs were checked twice. Let's see. Yeah, twice in the last 1.5 years. And luckily my lungs weren't affected, so that was very lucky because I am an asthma patient, so I was really concerned about that. But my lungs were fine. Well, they were normal for me, for what's normal for me, so that was a good thing. Your heart rate monitor, that's I was lucky enough to not need that, and no blood drawn either. So I'm kind of on the lucky side with COVID. I got it last August a year ago, and I haven't been in the hospital or something. I just felt like I had a really bad case of the flu. So it's really, it's been a tough year and a half, and I'm still struggling to get back to my normal working hours. My normal working hours for my paid job anyway are 28.5, and currently I am back to 15. I was already at 24, but that turned out to be way too much for me. So I got all my symptoms back in a bad way. So right now I'm back at 15, and then next year in January I'm going to try to work a little bit more again, and then see how that goes. And you say you'll be paying for this for at least 3 more years, just because you contracted COVID. Yeah, COVID is such a bloody damn thing. And in the States, long COVID is still up for debate as an actual condition. Serious? I mean, that is an actual thing. I mean, bizarre that they think about it that way. Here in the Netherlands, they regard it as an endemic disease, in the way they feel about the flu, the cold. So it's part of life. But COVID is still really different from the flu, so that is the stance about that here in the Netherlands. You say, yep, physical therapy for the lungs has been the kind of expensive that makes you want to cry. Yeah, physical therapy for your lungs, okay. But yeah, I get medication for my lungs, so maybe, I have no idea. I talked about that with my specialist, and he didn't know it either. Because I always use medication for my lungs, maybe that is why I did not have the problems with my lungs, why COVID did not affect my lungs. I have no idea. But I can imagine it's expensive, yeah. You're lucky your long COVID hasn't been that long. It's been about 4 months. You can completely understand. It's exhausting. Yeah, it is. Your resting heart rate was so high all the time. Well, my resting heart rate isn't that high. My blood pressure has been a bit on the high side, but everything still seems to be quite okay. So I don't need anything for that right now at the moment. And you say your heart rate is back down as of the beginning of November to a normal resting heart rate for you. That's why they were measuring your heart rate. I see. And the amount of money is going to take at least 3 years to pay for. Okay, that way. Okay. Yes, long COVID is something most insurances will not cover at all because it's not recognized as a treatable condition. I mean, Yeah, it's a weird thing, long COVID. I mean, it's still not sure why someone contracts it. In the beginning, it's still not sure why, or it's still not very clear why someone contracts COVID at all. Because there are people who don't get it. And it's not clear why people get long COVID and why other people just seem to fly through it without a hitch. I mean, looking at my brother, he has had COVID a few times, and he seems to fly through it without a hitch. I mean, he's sick for he's been sick for a couple of days, and then he can do everything again. So it really differs per person, and that's weird. I'm just glad that I got COVID last year and not a few years ago. I mean, I'm quite glad about it. I've always felt like at some point everyone probably gets COVID in one way or another. It's part of life, and I mean, I was sort of prepared for that. I was prepared for the fact to get COVID, to at some point get COVID. I was not prepared for long COVID. By far, I mean, I did not see that one coming. Especially because I just felt like I had a bad case of the flu, and well, that was about it. So yeah. You say yes, physical therapy as in exercising with a doctor nearby to help strengthen your lungs. It has to you had to use a breathing apparatus at first and then started the movement. Oh, well, what I was told, my physical therapist, she specialized in one moment. I noticed I haven't been drinking enough. When I started physical therapy last year, just a little over a year ago, we started with physical strength therapy. And I asked her, well, why not cardio? I mean, shouldn't I start with cardio? No, she told me, if I start you with cardio, you'll fall down in 5 minutes and you won't be able to get up anymore. She said, we first need to exercise your muscles again, to get strength into your muscles, and then you can start working on your long-term condition. She said, because you've lost so much muscle strength, which apparently is a thing, is a default thing for long COVID patients. They lose so much, or we lose so much muscle strength. And I told her, well, I mean, I've only been sick for a few weeks. Yeah, she said, and still every long COVID patient, no matter how long they've been sick, they lose so much muscle strength that is something that we first need to build up. Because if we build that up first, so that your legs and your arms and such can take the weight and can carry you again properly, then you can start working on your cardio, and that's only then will it help. So that's quite a different way of treating long COVID patients, I think. You're the only one who has long COVID around you, and you know one person in the area who thinks she has it now. That's it. Well, here I've had a few people in my neighborhood who have long COVID. Also, people who have had who contracted COVID a few years ago. So they were in quite a different situation than I was. So yeah, you do that as well. You've been lifting weights and started cardio about a month ago, and it's really helped. You weight trained for about 2 months. Okay. And you weight train normally anyway. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, that sounds quite the same as we do it here. Yeah. But with the COVID in July, you stopped altogether. You didn't start the physical therapy in August. Well, you know, when you contract COVID, well, that's my experience. Everything just falls down. I mean, I was training. Essentially, I was training walking because I wanted to participate in the walking marathon, the Vierdaagse of Nijmegen. That's a huge event here in the Netherlands. It started out as a military march, and now it's done by thousands and thousands of people. And I wanted to train for that, to at some point in the future be able to participate in that. So I was walking quite a lot already. I was going on my bike to my work instead of by car. And then COVID happened and it all fell down. And I couldn't do my normal walk of an hour because I would just, my legs simply couldn't carry me anymore. So that was weird. It was weird. Melissa, you say, yeah, you stopped doing everything in July. You were so sick for almost 2 weeks that things didn't improve much except that you could finally eat. Ah, okay. After almost 2 weeks of eating normally, things stayed bad. Yeah, well, the eating wasn't my biggest problem. I just felt really sick, and after the first week, I still had pain stabs in my lungs. When breathing normally, and that didn't go away for another week. And after that, I returned back to my job, but that really didn't work out. But it also was the reason that I had a few checkups of my lungs to make sure that my lungs weren't damaged by the COVID. Yeah. And you're paying for it all with cash because insurance will not help at all. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm in that respect. Here in the Netherlands, we are quite lucky. We're treated quite well. And the weird thing is, of course, I mean, I look at it as a patient, and I think this is just bad, and I hope to get through it someday. I mean, it's such a weird thing. You say you've been appealing the denial of treatment for 4 months now. Hopefully someday they will have to reimburse you. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, COVID is something that really needs to be treated properly, and I mean, it's not something we choose to have. And it's not like we choose a treatment that isn't sufficient because we want to. No, we have to wait until the treatment works. And I mean, we don't choose to be sick, and sometimes I feel like people may think that. But I want to kind of bring it back to the happy things we started with a couple of hours ago. The weird thing for me is with the whole COVID and Corona things. Of course, this last 1.5 years, I looked at it as a patient mostly. Because I mean, that is what you are, and that is what you get, and what you have to go through. At the same time, weirdly enough, maybe I also looked at it as an author, thinking, okay, so how would you go about this as an author? Well, let's just say you've got to put on pants and get some things done around the house. So sorry for the tangents. No, that's okay. I mean, this is an important thing to talk about, and it's good that we talk about it together as COVID patients, and that we see how things work or don't work for the other people. I mean, it's no matter how you look at it, it's not an easy thing. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely free to talk about it. But yeah, I kind of want to take it a little bit more lightly again for the others, and we can talk about it a lot more in the Discord. I'm happy to talk about it a lot more. So, like I said, I've looked at it as a patient, but I've also looked at it as an author. I remember that I think I said that in an earlier live stream as well. At the start of the pandemic, I remember I wrote a piece titled something like "Being an Author in a Dystopian Future," because at that moment it really felt like that. And I mean, we always talk about dystopian novels, right? And how would the world be if some disaster happened? Well, the disaster happened and we lived it. And we're still living it. And that's the weird thing about it. And how does that affect the community? How does that affect friends and family? And how would you go about that in a novel? And unless you ask, you wonder if in Tergaenae, what would happen if a pandemic hit? Well, you know, one of the big differences in Tergaenae, of course, is Tergaenae doesn't have planes, and traveling in Tergaenae is it doesn't go that fast, so you don't travel long distances in a short amount of time. And I think that makes a huge difference. And I think if I'm correct, if I have understood all the information about COVID correctly, one of the major factors of the spreading of COVID is the fact that we can fly pretty much anywhere in a day's time. And that is the big difference, I think, because if you can travel only a short distance in a day, then the chance of you spreading around the virus is to so many people is far smaller than when you can travel huge distances and go from one big place to another big place with thousands and thousands of people in the span of a day. And I think that's a huge difference. In Tergaenae specifically, of course I have healers, but healers, their healing skill also takes a cost. So if they can heal someone without using their healing skill, they will do it, because the healing skill costs the healer a lot of energy. So they will need to eat more, and they will need to take in more energy to replenish that. And it also has an effect on the patient, because they will get, the healers can get access, involuntary access to the thoughts of their patients. So they try to avoid using their healing skill. They will only use it if it is absolutely necessary, and they will use other remedies initially to treat someone, and that's a huge difference. But because there are so many mages as well, and healers, the disease would be far more easily be recognized, or well, not necessarily recognized, but they would more easily see that something is wrong and take measurements against it. So that would be the difference. And Melissa, you've thought about what would happen if a sickness spreads in other worlds, like having it wipe out a load of children or elderly. What would that mean? Yes, it's it's something I've been wondering about as well. I mean, I can imagine that depending on the world you create, the citizens and civilians would say, well, it's the hand of the gods, and we can do nothing about it. Or they would go against it and take all kinds of measures. I think I saw, well, no, it's not, I saw a series, I don't remember what it was called, but in essence, it came to the point that a lot of people, the world population, were infected with a disease, and you could only get into a city through the barriers if you could show that you were not infected by the disease. So that is a way to to protect the healthy population. Depending on the world you create, it is something that you can do. Yeah. Nasya asked, what if the sickness was highly contagious? Well, that is an issue. I think depending on the contagious part, and depending on how fast and how far people can travel in a day, it changes how many people will be infected, and that automatically will change how healers and doctors and pharmacists, etc., will deal with it. I mean, here in Europe, we've had the plague and things like that, that were devastating to communities, but that was centuries ago. And yes, communities were devastated by it, but it didn't have an effect like it has, like COVID has right now. So that already makes a huge difference. That's a good point about planes. Do none of your characters fly, or do you have trades between parts of your world? Well, yes, I have the dragon companions. They fly. I have map makers. They fly as well. They don't fly on dragons. They fly mostly on rocks. RUKH. Yeah, RUKH. So there are people who fly, but it is not such an amount as we have here on Earth. We do have trades, so of course that can bring in diseases, and that is why in big trading hubs like Devilsport and other big trading hubs, people are more aware in a way, of keeping an eye on how people look, if you get my point. And guards and will actively look for signs that something is not right, especially on the docks, for example, where the harbor master will check things and will see how things are going. They do have means of communications on great distances. They have special communication stones and other ways to communicate. So the news about a contagious disease can be brought over to huge distances without people having to travel that huge distance, and that also can make a good difference, because people can respond to that in other areas. So would a pandemic happen in Tergaenae? Not in that way. But can contagious diseases be brought in from other continents and other countries? Yes, definitely, most definitely. Yeah. Update: since putting on a playlist, the doggers have been calm and ignoring it. That's excellent. Great to hear. Also, healing for moments of dire need, because someone may die otherwise. Yes. Normally, indeed, it's for those kinds of situations. Like I have now with the background story. Instead of the healer using her healing skills, she is first looking for an antidote. Because if she needs to use her healing skills on Nejat, the impact on her will be huge, and the impact on Nejat will also be huge. But because she knows it is a poison, she'd rather try the antidote first. And only if the antidote doesn't work, then she will use her healing skill. If there's no other way, because it takes a toll on both the patient and the healer. Yeah. Interesting. I guess you didn't think about the healing cost to the healer. Well, it depends on what you do as an author with that. I decided that all mage skills have some cost, and in the case of the healer, it has quite the cost. It costs energy, and you can build that up. But in this case, Rowena, the healer in charge at the moment in the background story, she normally in the White City, she normally works in the hospital. So building up that energy is not always easy. And in this case, she was visiting in Dragon City, so she has been building up some energy, because that is what they do when they are not confronted with patients. They will try to build up their energy, to see if they can help patients that really need it. You would imagine that healing would somehow make the weaker or more vulnerable. You would think it would make the healer weaker or more vulnerable. Well, it does make the healer it does make the healer weaker, because it costs them a lot of energy, depending on what they need to do. If they need to save a dying patient, it will take them a lot of energy, to the point where they might just fall down. They might not die necessarily, but they might just pass out due to the amount of energy it would cost. You want to say you've watched a movie or read a book that is either fantasy or apocalyptic in nature recently, where there was previously a sickness that took the lives of many children. You can't remember what it was, a movie or a book. Took the lives of many children. That does ring a bell, but I don't know. I don't know. One other factor about COVID is that it is highly contagious. Yes, yes. It is right now. It's far less contagious than it was in the beginning. In the beginning, it was really quite contagious. That is why we all had those lockdowns to try to prevent that in a way. One thing you will say about the pandemic, you wouldn't have thought about something like a worldwide plague and how that might affect the world. It's just not something I would have even considered. Well, it has been, because I'm also working on a world building course. It has been in the back of my mind, because here in Europe we have had the plague, and the is that the same? Let me check. Black plague, is that the same as what I have in mind? I think the bubonic plague, yes. It was the bubonic plague, the black let me see. Was it the bubonic plague? Yeah, I think it was the bubonic. It was quite devastating, but let me see. Yeah, There was one very early on, 541 to 549 AD, and the second pandemic was 1346 to 1352. That was the Black Death indeed. So that is something that I had in mind to cover in my world building course, because it can be devastating, and like I said, depending on how you can travel, it can be far more devastating, and where people come from, etc., etc. So yeah, it's something that I had in mind already. Let's see. You thought I had people who fly. You've mentioned it before. People who fly. It's the dragons. But maybe I said something that about the relationship between the three brothers, Nejat and Seamus and Finlay. There was a moment, there was an incident where Nejat essentially saved his brothers, but before that time they weren't. I mean, he was adopted, and before that incident, they didn't have such a good connection. But with that incident, they were kidnapped. The Finlay and Seamus were kidnapped, and in the end, Nejat went to the rescue. But it was quite different than what you might expect. He essentially pushed them off a cliff with the words "Go fly." But what nobody knew was that he had already arranged with Ruark and his other team members that they would be there, and that the dragons of the two boys would be there as well and catch them. So the expression "go fly" is something they kept as something that's really between them, but that is referring to that incident. I don't have people who can actually fly. It's not one of the major skills, or at least I haven't discovered it yet. Let me put it that way. I don't know if I have mentioned it before. I don't remember what it was about, if it wasn't about this particular incident. Sending stones. Yeah, stones are used in communication. They are not sending the stones themselves, but they are using special stones or gems. I haven't discovered yet how or what kind of stones are used, but they are using communication stones. Like they also have light stones that can trap a light, and they can release the light temporarily to give light in dark situation, for example. Yeah, there are quite a lot of different possibilities, communication and things like that. A healer with no vulnerabilities is probably dangerous. Yes. Especially because, and that is one of the dangers of the healing skills. Healers can, of course, heal people, but they also can kill people by essentially making whatever disease the person has worse. And that is one of the things that children who show that they have healing skills, who show the it's not symptoms. I'm not looking for symptoms. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but who show the signs of having healing skills, they are trained and they are shown what to look for from an early age on. Of course, that depends on if the child is sent to one of the mage cities where they can be treated properly. are treated, where they can be taught properly their skills. So that can be devastating. But because it costs energy to use the skill, that is also something the children are taught, that it costs energy. No matter if you use it to heal or to kill, it costs energy, and the longer you use your skill for the same thing, the longer consecutively, the more energy it will take, and eventually it will at least pass you out, because from the moment that the healer passes out, the healer can't do anything anymore. But depending on what the healer is trying to do, I mean, they can be really stubborn and fight off the passing out stage, and in the end kill themselves. I mean, that's also possible. Yeah. That's a lot of power. Yeah, if a healer would have no vulnerabilities, that would be a lot of power indeed. But like I said, it costs energy, and the more you use it, the more energy it costs. So that is also one of the reasons that healers at first will not use their healing skills. Of course, depending on what they need to do. Yeah, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, that is indeed. You are exactly. You are very right about that. The bubonic plague and the black plague were the same thing. Yes, yes. The last pandemic in the early 1900s was the Spanish flu. Yeah, I think it was. Let me see. I think I have a page about pandemics. Pandemic list. I did have something. Right here. Oh, I haven't bookmarked it. Now I have. Yeah, the bubonic plague was ranked the highest, apparently, with a death toll of 75 to 200 million. And then the Spanish flu. Let me see. No, there were other epidemics, pandemics. Let me see. Yeah, you've got COVID, of course, HIV/AIDS, that was stated as an epidemic, as an epidemic worldwide. Hong Kong flu, influenza, apparently also worldwide, and the influenza pandemic from 1957 till 1958, also an influenza, and then the Spanish flu. And the Spanish flu cost 17 to 100 million. If I look at death tolls, it's the Black Death with 57 to 100 million deaths, and then the Spanish flu with 17 to 100 million deaths. And the Spanish flu was about 100 years ago, indeed, 1980 to 1920. So yeah. It's weird. I'm going up on the phone. Yeah. The laptop and cleaning aren't working. I can imagine that. So no flying people. The flutter nymphs. The flutter nymphs are they fly, but they are not a people like the dragon companions and the mages. They are creatures. Small folk don't fly. But the flutter nymphs and there are more small creatures. There are lots of flying creatures, but the flutter nymphs are not. They are creatures, but they can understand the people. I do have other species of people as well, like meerkats. Or people based on meerkats, let me put it that way. but the flutter nymphs are not a species like that. They are more a species like birds, or I don't know, more like that. Yeah, the flutter nymphs are creatures, are not people, but they understand people, and they have found a way to communicate with people. So that's the difference. You're thinking that healers can also be evil, even if it costs energy to use the skill. Yes, that is true. So the last pandemic wasn't in the early 1900s. Wild. Yeah, right? That's so strange. It's crazy. And if you see, the Spanish flu was worldwide. The Black Death was Europe, Asia, and North Africa. And then comes the plague of Justinian. That was also a bubonic plague, and that cost 15 to 100 million people their lives, and that was in North Africa, Europe, and Western Asia. So it's, I mean, it's so weird. And then you have the third plague pandemic, which was also a bubonic plague, cost 12 to 15 million people their lives, and that was between 1855 and 1960, and that was worldwide. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cases of the bubonic plague. Italy had a bubonic plague between 1629 and 1631, and the Naples plague between 1656 and 1658. And then there's been one in Persia, 1772, 1773. Well, and then the other three I just mentioned. So the bubonic plague has been around for quite a while, and it has cost, I mean, really a lot of people their lives. It's incredible. So yeah, but yeah, the flutter nymphs are, the way that they communicate. If you'd hear them at first glance or listen, they would sound more like birds, like the tweeting of birds. But if you listen closer, then you will hear other sounds as well. It's where Dida came up with the idea of riri, because that is a sound that the flutterbirds, the flutter nymphs use as well. And riri is one of the flutter nymphs, but like I said, she's a creature, and that's the difference. So far, no mages that can fly. I haven't discovered any yet. Oh, one moment. And I'm back again. So yeah, the flutter nymphs are creatures who, how shall I say that? They found a way, and people have found a way to communicate with them, and in this case, that is handy. So yeah, welcome. And it's did I miss something? Wait 1 moment. No, it's okay. Wait, did I? Oh no, my mic is still working. Perfect. So it's how you see it. It differs on how you see creatures. Oh, I just came back. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, a friend of mine left. The grinding at the attic is gone. And we're gonna have dinner later on. So just take out. So that's good. It's fun. It's fun. And you know, it depends. I mean, the flat nymphs do not communicate like you and I. They don't have the common tongue. They can't speak in the common tongue, but they do understand the common tongue. And that's the difference, I think. I mean, if you look at birds here on Earth, you can teach certain birds to actually talk. Well, they'll mostly repeat the words we say, but they can talk, and that inspired me to have the flat nymphs, to let the flat nymphs have a way to communicate with the people, so they do understand the common tongue, and there are people who understand their language and who they cannot talk it. I mean, Nejat can't speak the flat nymph language, but he does understand it, and he can speak the common tongue to Riri, for example, and he can translate effectively to others. The small folk, they are, you might say, well, hobbits is not the correct word. If you've seen Star Wars, they are the little people on that forest moon. What are they called? They lived in the forest, mostly in the trees. Now I need to know. Now I need to figure out. Star Wars, small creatures, characters. Not Yoda, the other characters. What are the small guys? Jawas, I think. Let's see if there's a picture. Ewoks. Yeah, I think it's the Ewoks that I'm looking for. Hello? Search. Oh, there. Ewoks. Come on. Ewoks and Wookiees, droids. Yeah. Okay, let's try that another way. Star Wars. Ewoks. Yeah, the Ewoks, exactly. Yeah, those. You could see the small folk more like Ewoks in Star Wars. As for the size and I think they are quite small. If I'm correct. Let's see, fictional small furry mammaloids, whatever. I don't think they really say how tall they are. I'll look into that later on. But that inspired me, and back when I made cards, I found a I can't link that here. I can't show that here. I found the Toriats, and they were small creatures living in the trees, and they were cute. But the small folk aren't always cute. The small folk live in the creature and in the forest, and they will protect the trees and the bushes and things like that. So if you just go about and keep on chopping down trees, at some point you will meet the small folk, and you will have serious problems with the small folk. They won't kill you, but they will harm you. Small folk can't kill, and that is where the wolf shifters come in. The wolf shifters have the ability to kill. That's a gift they have gotten from the gods, from the deities, or whatever you want to call them. the elders, the gods, the deities, because they are expected to protect the small folk and to protect small magical creatures like the platinums. So in case it is needed, the wolf shifters can actually kill people. They will not usually do that, but yeah, they can. So yeah. And you say you'd love to write about a creature that communicates by intuition. What? Intuition is more. Is it intuition or is it telepathy? Because intuition is more like, or at least that is what I thought. I mean, it's not through the mind or something. Intuition, or am I wrong about that? Let me see. Intuition. It's more like a hunch. So I'm not quite sure how you would use intuition if that is what you mean, or if that is what I understand intuition to mean. How would you communicate by hunches? I'm not quite sure. I perhaps I understand it wrongly. So please enlighten me. Intuitively, no words, telepathically. So they just say whatever comes to mind. Do I understand that correctly? Or they use their mind. They use telepathy. Like someone just has an understanding of what the other person is wanting. Like that. Okay. So they don't speak words, but depending on what they see in someone's attitude and on someone's face and the feeling that they radiate. Do you mean it like that, or should I interpret it like that? Because that is quite an interesting concept. It does take a lot of understanding of the other person and the other people around you to be able to do that. I think there's really a far different way from communicating. I don't think I have ever seen it. Almost like knowledge that isn't spoken but just known. That would be very hard to write. Yeah, it would. But it requires almost that people, before they ever really start to communicate, that they need observance skills as well to first observe the world and the people in it before they can ever try to start to communicate, because otherwise they wouldn't understand the other person. That's you would really have to how should I say that? I think if you were to write that, you would really have to go inside the mind of that person and let them say their thoughts in how do you say that? Well, the reader can read their thoughts. Let me put it that way. They won't speak them, but the reader can read their thoughts. Maybe unless they are born with this power or ability. Well, yeah. I do think that if you are born with a power or ability, you still need to develop it. And of course, it takes time. And how shall I say that? it takes time, especially when you look at children. Children need to learn so much. So for them to be able to use that skill, that power, ability, they will need to learn it. And I can imagine if you would have such a skill, if you are born with that, either it would be it could be, let me put it that way, it could be quite a burden on a child if they are born with that ability and already know from a very young age how to do that. Like a mother who communicates love to a child without saying I love you, or telepathically saying it, that's what I meant. Yeah, like saying it with their eyes and with gestures and things like that. Is that one? Is that? Could that be something? Because that will mean that you can use all kinds of gestures and the way that someone stands compared to someone else. And perhaps hand gestures, or the way someone closes or opens their eyes, or purses their lips, or I don't know, maybe they have ears that can make all kinds of movements. Those all could be helpful with such a skill, I imagine. I'm just throwing out ideas here. I have no idea. It's not something I have ever thought about, but it is an intriguing concept. And I'd love to hear more about it in the future. I mean, what is there anything holding you back to write about such a creature? Because I think it's a very interesting concept, and I would say just try to evolve it, or try to not evolve it, try to develop it and see how far you can go with it, because I don't think it's ever been done like that, and I think it could be it could really give a whole new dimension to fantasy, and I'd love to see it happening. So yeah, keep developing it, because it's awesome. It's awesome. Also, post it in the Discord because I think there are a few people who might have some ideas about that. And being in the middle of children's books and the series you're currently on are things that keep you busy. Ah, right. Yeah, I can see that. Well, if I can give you one advice, make a document or a project in Scrivener. If you're starting out in Scrivener, right? So make a project in Scrivener specifically for this story that you would love to write, and keep jotting down your notes. Don't let anything hold you back, but just keep jotting down the ideas that come up and things that you find that might help with that ability, or with developing the way that such an ability could work, and how the world would function, but also how would people respond, people who do not have that ability and who do not know about that ability. How would people respond to that? And would there be a lot of people with this ability? So would you have, for instance, a community that has more people with disability than without disability? This ability, this skill. Let's talk about skill, because disability is sure starts to sound like disability, as in that you can't do something physically, while it's the opposite. so many ideas keep popping up and so many questions I have. Yeah, you can post it in Discord, and you have a whole notebook that you plan to transfer in Scrivener as well. Excellent, excellent. Well, keep on posting it and keep on putting it in Scrivener. That's what I love about Scrivener. You can make all kinds of small documents with that all can explain little parts of this skill, like the gestures, like how someone who does not have that skill responds to someone who does have that skill, like how children develop that skill, if they are born with it or not, basically everything. And you can to keep it organized for yourself, you can put each little subtopic in its own document and still keep everything together. That is what Scrivener is ideal for. And if there's something that changes, you can make notes about it, etc., etc. So yeah. What if it's a small sect of beings that is highly revered and highly hunted? I think that's a very good idea as well. You would have to. Let me rephrase it. I think it would be good if you can identify why they are highly revered on one side and highly hunted on the other. Are they, for example, hunted because people want to control them, or other people want them to be in control? How do I say that? That there's a group of people who want to control these beings. Is that why they are hunted, for example? And are they, for instance, highly revered because they do not need to speak, but they can still understand, and they can understand criminals, for example, whereas commoners can't, not in the way that these beings can. Have they perhaps helped solve big issues worldwide, or for a kingdom, or whatever? Perhaps for control, being hunted, yeah, and highly revered because they are so powerful. Okay, I can imagine that. Oh, you're gonna have to name that group after the power, you think? Yeah. Well, they could be, but it could. Well, you could also have an inconspicuous. Is inconspicuous the name I'm looking for? The term I'm looking for. Let me see. Inconspicuous. Yeah, that's what I mean. You can also use an inconspicuously name to hide them, especially if they are already hunted. You can use a name that does not point to them being those beings, because that way they can in some way be safe, perhaps. And with power comes, of course, great responsibilities, and also great risks. So what do they see themselves as their responsibilities? What do other people see as their responsibilities? And what are the greatest risks of their powers? And maybe they are undiscovered like Wakanda, but somehow suddenly become very well known. That's interesting as well. Yeah, and the world goes wild over it. Well, you have to, for the world to go wild over it, they would have to. They would have to have a certain positive influence on that is so big, so influential, that it is a positive thing for the world, or at least for a large group in the world that is so large that that it can become an influence. Sorta. Am I still making any sense? A good point. Okay. Yeah, it's the fun thing with finding these things, or with finding things like these, and develop things like this, is that you can go as wide as possible and then tune it in and see, okay, this works and this cannot work, or if I do this, then I need to need to see if there's a counter thing that keeps it in balance. So that's the beauty of developing things like that. Maybe they're innately good and pure. That it can be a good thing. If they have been secluded, like Wakanda, for example, and they are innately good and pure, what happens when they are discovered and when they see, for example, what manipulation can bring, and what I thought I saw something weird outside. My apologies. What manipulation can bring, what bad things can be done by people. Can they be influenced by that? Can someone of their community perhaps, because you say they are powerful, can someone of their community perhaps get the idea that that they can use their skills to manipulate things in their way, sort of? Maybe they know about the world, but the world doesn't know about them. Then boom, cataclysmic event, and everyone knows about everyone. So let me think. If they know about the world, but they live secluded, there is a reason why they live secluded, and why they stayed basically outside of that world. What would be the reason? Just out of curiosity. I mean, this is not. I'm not. This is not meant as negative criticism. It's just so many questions that keep popping up. Questions that just come up right now. So it's such an amazing thing, such an awesome concept that you came with. Yeah, so some moral questions about how the world and power can influence the people who haven't dealt with that before. Yeah, exactly. And what do they decide to do with that? And would it be possible, just out of the blue, would it be possible that one of their community would become corrupted by what they find in the world when they are confronted with the rest of the world, and when they are starting to deal with the rest of the world? Would it be possible that one of them became corrupted and then do things that they would normally not do? Is that a possibility? Because and also, wait, perhaps the reason they stay quiet is because they know what could happen if the world knew of their powers and would seek to control and use it for bad things. Or your ideas about protecting from corruption. Yeah, there can be so many reasons, so many avenues. Yes, exactly. It could be that they have had that issue of corruption, and that is exactly the reason why they live secluded. They have maybe cast out that person, or, well, if the person was cast out, then wouldn't they be in the world somewhere? I don't know. Hidden people, and something crazy happens and the people are exposed and powerful. some natural disaster that happens to their environment, to their secluded heaven, so to speak. Also, what I'm wondering, if they can sort of, well, if they can read the other person, let me put it that way, based on gestures and the way people look, etc., etc. Does that also mean that they don't have conflicts at all? And how would they deal with that? How do they deal with the conflict rising, if that would happen? If there would be no conflicts at all, wouldn't that make for a kind of boring community? Or do they have other ways to keep the community and to keep the people interesting without having the conflict? Yeah. Maybe a youth wants to break free and see the world up close. It could be. Maybe there are cracks on their way of living and the youth wants to find a solution. Exactly, about conflict coming up. Maybe it appears perfect, but it isn't. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, there's no how shall I say this? Utopia is the ideal world image, right? Everything is okay and everything is perfect and nobody is suffering, etc., etc. But humankind, and I'm specifically saying humankind, is not capable of that. We've shown that time and time again. So how would, because initially this group of beings, this closed community, kind of sounds like, at first glance, like a perfect community, like a utopian community, but I would expect that there are underlying feelings, and sure, you can go, you can see how people are feeling, etc., etc. But if you somehow register that someone is not feeling happy about something, how do you deal with that? How does such a being deal with that? And what, I mean, toddlers have conflicts about one wanting to use a toy while the other is playing with it. Simple things like that. How would that work? Or would this group of beings only be adults? And does the skill only present itself in their late teenage years or early 20s, things like that? Yeah. So in our society, communication with words is powerful. Yes, but what is more powerful is not only listening to the words, but also actually looking at a person and seeing their facial expression and the way that they stand and the way that they move, and if they have their arms closed like this or open, like, I can't show it properly on screen, but arms open, that makes a huge difference in how someone appears to another one, to another person. Think about people who are deaf or who are blind. People who are blind are very tuned in on the tone someone uses in their voice. People who are blind are very tuned in on the way someone looks, in their face and their posture. Posture, is that the word I'm looking for? I think so. So that all works together. reading back. Perhaps in their world, the power is actually being able to block intuitive communication. Okay. Right, but communication is largely external and perception. Exactly, yeah. In this world, communication could be internal, and as they grow, they need to learn blocks for that. As opposed to learning how to talk, they are learning how to block. Okay, let me think about that. So I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not stating that it is like that. I'm just thinking out loud. The world, the whole world uses intuitive communication and words, and their power of this small closed community, secluded community, is able to, their power is the ability to block that communication. And essentially, if you were able to block intuitive communication, let me think. They would if they were able to block that form of communication, they would perhaps look more emotionless. Is that how I should interpret it? And they would be sort of closed up. Now you mean that in the isolated world they communicate intuitively, and they have to learn. Okay. And they have to learn how to block in being read that way. Right, like that. Okay. Then I understood it wrongly. So that intuitive communication is innate. That is something everyone can do, and it's essentially, well, it's not that, but you could possibly compare it with a mind that's constantly broadcasting. Only it's not the mind, but it's the way that intuitive communication, and they know their power is to block that constant broadcasting, or to block the receiving of that constant broadcasting. Is that how I can see it? You were just comparing how we communicate versus how they would. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's really an interesting, intriguing concept. Okay. Yes. Okay. If just going further about that, perhaps the parents hold wards over their children to protect them. I think that is an excellent idea, because the children have to be protected somehow. And I mean, especially when they are young, we all know, even I mean, I don't have children, and even I know that children can just blurt out things that, as a parent, you do not want your children to say. I mean, there are things that you do not want your children to repeat. So a word set by the parents, I think that would be very good. You say that would be so fun and hard to write about. Yes. Yeah, most certainly. You kids tell everyone everything all the time. The kids are crazy. Yeah. Well, exactly that. So if the kids would due to their innate intuitive communication, would be able to basically tell everyone everything all the time, yeah, I can see why parents would want to ward their children, because that you really do not want that happening. Yeah, logical. Excellent idea. it's I think I will have many more questions in the days and weeks to come. Be sure to post this all in the Discord, because I know Dida and Jess and a few others will have awesome ideas as well, and awesome questions to help you pin it down more and to develop it more. I mean, you've already made such a progress with it, and I think it can be really fun to write such a story. It will be hard because you'll have to think about every gesture, about every posture, everything, essentially. But I think it can be a lot of fun and really intriguing. Perhaps the people of the community are so powerful because they can also read the internal communication of the people in the outside world, but the people in the outside world cannot. Yes. That was one of the things I wanted to ask, indeed. Can they read the outside people? So yes, they can. If you go by that. That okay, so let's say their community, their secluded community, is somehow broken into, or whatever. One way or the other, the rest of the world gets to know them, gets to know about them. I can imagine the rest of the world, or certain people in certain places in the rest of the world, read government and such, military, I don't know, things like that, would be very interested in powerful beings like them, to use for their own agenda. Would there also be people who are very envious of them? And to what level would there be people who are really scared of them? Would it only be big-time criminals, for example? Or would that perhaps be basically everyone in the world? Because they would be able to read everyone, even when someone doesn't want that. And only the people in their community have learned to block them, but of course the outside people do not even know that. So yeah, all excellent questions. You're welcome. And those are just the first things that come to mind for me. That is one of the beautiful things about world building, and about developing fantasy stories like this. You can make it exactly the way you want it, and as long as you make it logical for the reader. What I mean with that is, if they are all powerful and there is nothing that like you said earlier, a mage without a healer without any vulnerabilities is dangerous. Yes. So what is the vulnerability of these people, especially related to the outside world? Can they somehow be manipulated? But can they somehow be controlled? Can their abilities, I don't know, can their abilities maybe be blocked by some device that the other world will, the people in the rest of the world will somehow develop? Has there been someone who has escaped or simply left the community, and who, for whatever reason, and who has developed such a device to stop them? So many ideas, so many questions. Okay, my mind is overflowing at the moment. I noticed, and I noticed that I'm really starting to get hungry. I've had an awesome time with you and with all the others, and it was great to see Nick's joining as well. He said, "What would be fascinating would be if their abilities could be hijacked." Yeah, that I think that is what I meant, kinda with manipulation also, or not with manipulation, but with control. Um, can they be controlled in one way or the other, and being controlled through their abilities, through hijacking their abilities? That would be quite interesting. And how would that influence their community, and what dangers would it bring to their community if someone's abilities would have been hijacked? Are they hiding any secrets that they don't want to come out? So many things. But seeing the fact that I feel that I'm starting to get tired and I'm really starting to get hungry, I'm slowly going to bring this to an end, because I really need to start to get dinner. Melissa, please feel free to post all your ideas in the Discord. If you want, let's see, we have ideas and feedback, but we can also. Okay, I will talk about this with Dida later on. Dida and I briefly talked about it, but I have an idea on how to make sure that you guys can post all your ideas of your own stories and keep it concise, keep it in such a way that it all sticks together instead of having all the other messages in between. I think I will do that. Nix, I think you know, if you are still here, I think you know what I'm talking about with the community Discord. I think that could be a good idea to use, and we might convert a few things to that, so that it will be easier for you guys to share your ideas and to get feedback on your ideas and keep it all in one place, so that it's easier to respond to without things getting confused. You asked, don't close out yet, so you can copy and paste all this into a doc. Sure, let me know when you've done that. I'm going to close the curtains and things like that here in my living room, and I'll wait for you to finish the chat. Yeah, it's oh boy, we're already 4 hours in. Yeah, that's gonna take a while for YouTube to process. I'll wait for you. Oh, you're done. Excellent. You're welcome. No problem. Like I said, I will talk about it with Dida, and I think that we will make the change this weekend, so that you guys have extra features to play around with in Discord, and to make it a bit easier to share your ideas and get feedback on it, and to talk more about it. I think that has to be that can be done. Okay, you want to run downstairs and tear off your pants. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining, and I had a wonderful time today, and it was great to not write and still talk about writing and sharing ideas, and it was awesome. Next week we have the special live stream about the naming of things, of locations. My apologies, the naming of locations. I will include a few challenges, a few small writing challenges with that. So be prepared for that. And if you already have awesome names, be sure to share them. Oh, wait 1 minute. this should do it. Be sure to share them with this form, and I will give you a shout out in the next live stream next Friday the 8th of December. Starts at 3 p.m. again. And if you haven't already done so, just hit that subscribe and like button and hit the bell notification so that you will be notified when the stream when I go live, and when I will post the when I will publish the video about Scrivener. And I might have another surprise for you guys, but I hope I can do that. I can finish that as well this weekend. Yeah, 3 p.m. Netherlands. Yeah, Amsterdam time. Let me see. I had a link for that. One moment. Dashboard. Yep. If you check this link, it has an old time, an old date. Hello? Yeah, that one. It has an old date, but the time is the same. Hello? Right. Yes, it is an old from an old date from from today actually, apparently. Oh wait, it is today. My apologies, but it is that is why it says past, because it was from an old live stream. But you can use this this link to check your time, what it is, what my 3 p.m. is for you, and then you can see if you can join us as well. It would be awesome if you guys all join. And I would love to hear your location names, and also why you chose that location, why the location has that name. It will be awesome to hear about that. And I will have a few challenges next week for you. So be ready. I wish you all a great weekend, and I will see you all next week.